Germany, winter. Deep within the snowy mountains of Germany stand a castle. A castle that house a loving family. Surrounding the castle are trees. "Yosh, I won't lose today," said a 9-year-old little girl. The little girl has crimson eyes and long white hair, and she's wearing a purple winter coat along with a matching hat. She was walking deeper into the dormant forest. "I'm going to win again, Nei-chan," shouted a 7-year-old boy. The boy has short blonde hair with bright blue eyes, but there was something different with his hair. Part of it was already turning white or silver. It was too early to tell what color his hair would change into. However, his most distinguishing features are the whiskers mark, 3 marks on each side of his cheeks. He's wearing a black winter coat with a blue scarf. He was catching up with his sister. The 2 children were being followed by a man wearing a black suit along with a black trench coat. "You two, don't wander off too far," the man shouted to the kids. "Hi Papa. Tu-san," shouted the girl and boy. The 2 kids went off into the trees looking for walnut buds. The game is to find the most walnut buds. It was a game created by the man, their father to be exact. The 2 kids go off shouting as they find one, while their father watched them happily. "Ha ha ha," he laughed happily, enjoying a moment of happiness with his family. Inside the castle were 2 women. One of the women watched out of the window, watching the father interact with his 2 children. The woman that was watching the family was a young blonde woman wearing a blue dress. The other woman has white hair and crimson eyes. Her appearance suggested that she is the mother of the girl outside playing with her little brother. This woman was setting up a cup of tea for themselves. "What got your attention out there, Saber?" the white-haired woman asked the blonde woman, now known as Saber, as she placed down the cups. Saber turned to face the white-haired woman. "Irisville, it's interesting. Your children and Kuritsugu playing outside." Saber answered the now known white-haired woman. Irisville von Einsborn." Irisville then walked up to the window to watch her children and her husband, the father of those kids, Kuritsugu Emiya. "Are you surprised?" Irisville asked back to Saber. "I was under the impression that my master has a colder heart than he's showing now," Saber answered. As for the reason why she considered Kuritsugu her master is due to her not being really alive. She is a heroic spirit. Everyone once in a while, a ritual is held. The ritual is known as the Heavens Feel Ritual, or more commonly known, the Holy Grail War. The Holy Grail War is a battle between 7 magi that are called masters. In the war, these 7 masters perform another ritual to summon a servant to battle for them. These servants are heroic spirits. Heroes of the past that can be called upon for battle of the Holy Grail War. These 7 servants and master battle each other until there is one left. The last master and servant pair are granted the Holy Grail. The Grail has the ability to grant any wish that the winner desires. Saber herself is a hero from the past. Saber isn't her real name, but is her designation in the war. 7 heroes are called back from the dead to fight each other. There are 7 classes, so only certain type of heroes can be summoned if the circumstance is right. These 7 classes are: Saber, the heroic spirit of the sword; Lancer, the heroic spirit of the lance; Caster, the heroic spirit of spells and sorcery; Rider, the heroic spirit of the mount; Assassin, the heroic spirit of assassination; Archer, the heroic spirit of the bow; Berserker, the heroic spirit of berserker rage. Heroic spirits can apply to any of these 7 classes depending on their life and legend. Such as King Arthur. King Arthur is famous for wielding the holy sword, Excalibur, so if the King of Knights is summoned, then the king will most likely be summoned as Saber. However, the King of Knights was known for riding horses and using a lance, so the king can be summoned as Rider or Lancer. "Well, I can see why you think that," Irisville said, understanding her point of view because she knows her husband well enough that he can be considered a cold man, a very cold man. She then went back to pour tea and invited Saber to join her. Saber went over to the table to accept her offer. "Can you tell me about your son? I don't mean to be rude, but he doesn't resemble you or your husband," Saber asked. Ever since she was summoned, she sensed great danger nearby and found the source to be their son. After witnessing the blonde boy being so cheerful and happy made her confused. She sensed great darkness from him and great power. That is due to him being adopted. You see, Ilya is our biological child, while Naruto is our adopted son. Irisville answered her. The blonde boy is now known as Naruto or Naruto Emiya, while the girl is known as Ilya or Ilyasviel von Einsburn was closely listening to her story about Naruto. Then can you explain why do I sense that he has divine energy residing inside of him? Saber asked with a serious tone. As she was summoned, the Holy Grail already implanted information of the era into her head and the Age of Gods has long since passed. That brings up the question, why does Naruto have divine energy that can only be found in during the Age of Gods? Irisviel gave a nervous chuckle. You see. Flashback. Land of Fire, Elemental Nation, 3 years ago. Naruto Emiya, formerly Naruto Uzumaki lived in a village known as Konohagakure, village hidden in the leaves. This village lies within the veil. The world, planet Earth is quite unique. Compared to other realities that a certain trolling vampire traveled to. This version of Earth is far larger than the normal Earth. The Atlantic Ocean is far larger, covering a good fraction of the planet. Many part of the Atlantic is untraveled or can't be traveled through. Somewhere in this mighty ocean lies a very powerful barrier that was there since the Age of Gods. Inside the barrier or the veil, as it's more commonly called on both sides, is the elemental nation where shinobi lives. Outside is where the rest of the world lives. Laws of the world don't apply in the elemental nation due to the barrier that was placed. Gaia, the will of the world, sees humans as a threat for a long time. Gaia tried to get rid of humanity at one point, but failed, so she started to apply laws that force humanity to obey if they want to practice their magical arts. Magecraft and magic itself isn't as great as it once was in the past. The barrier that covers the elemental nation also provide protection from Gaia herself. Inside of the veil, humans wield a power known as chakra. Chakra itself is a special magical energy from a god that humanity stole from for themselves. After robbing from the god, the barrier was put up to protect themselves. Gaia sees that these humans that have chakra are a serious threat. She tries to take away the chakra from humans, but the barrier prevents her influence and power to reach them. Due to the veil, one can say that the elemental nation is still living in the Age of Gods. Entering the veil from the outside is difficult, but isn't impossible, so people were sent in to investigate it. Two powerful organizations agreed to watch over the veil, prevent the public to enter it, and investigate it. These two organizations are the Mage Association and the Church. Both protect the world and humanity in secret. They only allow certain groups or individuals into the veil. The Mage Association is an organization that watch the magical world. Magi that get too ambitious are usually stopped, so that the rest of the world will be ignorant of magic that they practice. They also watch over magus worldwide. The church works in similar ways. They also hunt down vampires, or more commonly labeled as dead apostate. These dead apostate are pretty much vampires, but their origin comes from the moon, so that makes them aliens to a certain extent. Back to the veil. The humans with chakra later start to call themselves shinobi or ninja. They live inside the barrier due to them wanting to keep their power and their need for it. Chakra is the magical power of a god that combines physical energy and the spiritual energy, making chakra a part of their own life. If they go beyond the veil, Gaia would immediately start to suck out their chakra. To the people within the veil, chakra is their own life force, so the loss of chakra would equal death. The veil that protects them also keeps them prisoners. On with the flashback, Naruto is the biological son of Kushina Namikaze, formerly Uzumaki, and Minato Namikaze. These two shinobi are very powerful and have many enemies. Minato has killed so many shinobi of other villages that many feared his power of teleportation. His use of teleportation, the Hiraishin, earned him the moniker, the Yellow Flash, due to the yellow flash that he leaves behind with each teleportation. After the Third Great Shinobi War, he earned enough of a reputation to be named the fourth Hokage of Konoha. He then chose to make his life more comfortable, so he married Kushina, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. A Jinchuriki is person that is chosen to be a vessel or container of the chakra construct beast. Within the veil, there lies 9 great-tailed beasts made purely of chakra that are sentient as well. Shinobi once feared them in the past. They later learned that they could be the ultimate weapon used against their enemies. They tried to tame the beast, but failed, so they did the next best thing. Seal it. They tried to seal it in objects, but it wasn't strong enough to bind them. Then they tried to seal them into humans. Using a human and their life force to bind them worked. Considering that these 9 beasts are made of chakra, using a living person's chakra to mix and bind them to form a weapon worked. These people were labeled as Jinchuriki, the power of a human sacrifice. Only 9 Jinchuriki can exist at a time, except for those that try to bend the rules. Kushina was chosen to become a Jinchuriki at a young age due to the body, chakra network of a young child is able to adapt to the tailed beast's power. All Jinchuriki were kept hidden due to their massive power that are needed to protect their village. Kushina was no exception, so her existence was hidden as much as possible until she was ready. She is an Uzumaki, and like all Uzumaki, they were amazing with seals. She became fairly powerful herself. Naruto was born 7 years ago, or 4 in this flashback, on October 10th along with his twin sister. On that day, something happened. Someone came to the site where Kushina was giving birth to her son and daughter. This person was a rogue Uchiha. He came to free the Kyuubi from his prison to attack Konoha, and it worked. However, it didn't last long enough to completely destroy the village. Minato managed to put a stop to the attackers' attempt to destroy his home and stop the Kyuubi. However, he didn't have the power to completely seal the Kyuubi. He performed a special sealing jutsu that split the Kyuubi into 2. Into yin and yang. He then sealed the yang half into his son, Naruto, and yin into Naruto's twin, Mito. Mito looked very similar to Naruto, but had their mother's eyes and hair, thus creating 2 Jinchuriki. Although it was a rule for all Jinchuriki to die once the tailed beast or Biju leaves the body, the Uzumaki were an exception. For Kushina, her Uzumaki heritage allow her to live due to the powerful life force she has. In the aftermath of the attack, the Uchiha retreated and the people of Konoha were left in fear. They were attacked by their own WMD, weapon of mass destruction, and they don't know how many people died during the attack. Most people were led to believe that the Kyuubi decided to attack Konoha, instead of being freed from his prison. Minato saw this as a chance for himself and his family. He created fake bodies for himself, Kushina, and Mito. The reason he didn't create one for Naruto is due to him being Hokage. He couldn't leave the village without their WMD, so he chose to abandon Naruto. To which, his wife agrees to. That was the start of hell for Naruto. He was abandoned by his own parents willingly and without a care for his well-being. He was forced to endure a life of loneliness and pain. The citizen demanded an explanation for the Kyuubi's attack, and the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who took up the mantle of being leader again after seeing the dead body of his successor, gave in and told about the incident. He told that a story that is convenient to the village. He told them that the Kyuubi attacked their village and Minato gave up his life to seal it into Naruto. Of course, Hiruzen didn't know the full truth as well, but he worked with what he was given. Many people mourned for their loss and the loss of their great fourth Hokage. Then came rage, the kind of rage that comes from a long-term winner suddenly losing to a no-name nobody. Rage for a baby that held back the Kyuubi. They only saw Naruto as the Kyuubi reincarnate. Throughout his 4 years in Konoha, Naruto starved, was beaten countless times, kicked out of the orphanage, hunted, and many other unspeakable action taken against him. Both civilian and shinobi perform these deeds to an innocent child to satisfy their thirst for revenge. As soon as Naruto could speak, the Kyuubi brought Naruto into his mindscape to talk. The fox couldn't heal all the damage that the people did to him, so he thought of teaching Naruto's survival tactic. At first it was all business, but it eventually turned into friendship. Naruto kindness and unbreakable will got to the fox, which Naruto only show his true self to those that earn it. The Kyuubi even revealed his name to Naruto. His name is Kurama, who only very few knows. Kurama would teach him how to avoid people and to not trust them. He even revealed the truth of his birth and abandonment. To say that Naruto was angry is an understatement. He held no love for the family that abandoned him or for the village that wants him dead. All that mattered to him is survival. On his 4th birthday, the Hokage, the man that would try to protect him, had a meeting with another hidden village, so he left, leaving Naruto without anyone to run to. Naruto was beaten and crucified that day. It was then the bright citizen of Konoha got the idea to get rid of the evidence, so they threw the crucified Naruto deep into the forest for the animals to eat. Then they went back to the village to celebrate the death of the demon brat. Kurama, if you see them after I die, Tell them to go to hell. Naruto mentally communicate to Kurama. He thought with venom as he mentioned them, as in the Namikaze family, who are actually celebrating Mito's birthday happily right now. You're not going to die, kid. I'm going to save you. Kurama replied vigorously as he tried to heal the massive damage done to him. Kurama really liked the kid, believing that Naruto is one of a kind and the only host that wouldn't be mean to himself. Plus, he didn't want to go to Mito. He was able to talk to his yin half from time to time to see what's happening on his end. Young Kurama learned that Minato and Kushina was going to train her into abusing Kurama's power for herself. Unlike Naruto, he refuses to use it without Kurama's permission. Damn it, I can't heal with only half of my power. I need to call yin back to me to make me full again, but that will force Namikaze to come back. Kurama thought. He then gave Naruto another look. He saw Naruto dying with a smile. He accepted this awful fate. He was ready to die, but Kurama wasn't ready for him to go. Damn it. He then called back his yin half. Considering the seal, it was weak enough to break out of with only maximum effort. Kurama shouted as he focused all his energy to break the seal on his yin half. Ruins of Uzushiyogakure. Inside the former village of the Uzumaki clan, lives the Namikaze family. Minato decided to hide his family within a dead village that nobody visit due to the massive attack on it many years ago. They are currently gathered around a table with a large cake with 4 candles. Happy birthday Mito-chan, Kushina shouted as she placed the cake down. Yata, Mito said excitedly to eat the cake. Now blow out the candles and make a wish. Minato told his daughter. Alright, I wish, Mito said, but suddenly stop. Honey, are you okay? Kushina asked, concerned for her daughter. Both Minato and Kushina approached their daughter. Her seal that held Yin Kurama was visible to the point that Minato and Kushina could see it on her shirt. Ah, Mito shouted in pain. Then red chakra started to burst out of her body, causing immense pain. Mito, Kushina and Minato shouted and Kushina was going to grab her daughter to comfort her somehow, while Minato started to go through a series of hand seals to stop the outburst of Kurama's chakra. However, it ended quickly, so Minato couldn't stop it. Mito was unconscious and in the arms of a crying Kushina. What happened, Minato-kun? Kushina asked, demanded with tears in her eyes. She never saw her child in so much pain and didn't like it. After a few minutes of thought, Naruto, Minato answered. Kushina gave him a confused look. She rarely thought about Naruto anymore since they left him to protect Konoha. Something must have happened to him. He added, after a minute for Kushina to remember that she'd chosen to abandon her own son. We need to go back. I want to see my son. Kushina cried, now concerned with her son after believing that something terrible happened to him due to something bad happening to Mito. She believed that the twins were linked to each other due to Kurama. However, Kushina couldn't get her wish. They needed to heal Mito first before going back. Mito was burned badly and the seal was burned into her skin, forever showing that she once held Kurama. Due to her Uzumaki blood, she survived the Kyuubi, leaving her body like her mother. By the time they would be ready to travel back to Konoha, they would be too late. Unknown to the parents, this would be the moment that ruined their plans to train her into becoming a powerful kunoichi. The strain of Yin Kurama leaving Mito's chakra network caused the still developing network to be highly damaged. She would forever have enough chakra to compare to a low-level Junin. She would only be able to perform Rasengan 3 times a day. That's as thanks to her Uzumaki longevity and special chakra. As an Uzumaki, she is able to form adamantine sealing chains that are very powerful. However, Mito's chain wouldn't be close to as strong as Kushina's chains. The adamantine sealing chains are very powerful chains created by the user's chakra that also has the ability to bind chakra, making them the perfect capture tool against shinobi and biju shinobi. Forest. In the same forest that Naruto was crucified in, Kuritsugu Emiya was traveling through with a large weapon case. Kuritsugu was chosen by the Ainsburn to represent them in the Fourth Holy Grail War. Meeting the Ainsburn is where he met and fell in love with Irisviel and had a child together. He was currently in the elemental nation due to a lead. He wanted to wish for world peace, so he wanted the strongest servant. His aim was for King Arthur, the King of Knights. To get King Arthur, he needed a link to the king, so he can summon the right hero. The link he was looking for is Avalon, the sheath of Excalibur. It disappeared after the king's death. The only lead Kuritsugu found is that it was inside the veil. Due to his notorious reputation of being the Magus killer, he managed to get approval to go into the veil. After a few months of investigating into the Japanese-like world, he located Avalon within the Land of Fire, the same country that Naruto is from. Kuritsugu started to sniff the air. Blood, he thought. The air around him is filled with blood. Even though he is used to the smell, he went to find the source. Dear God, he thought. Horrified to see a 4-year-old being crucified in the middle of the woods and animals approaching him, about to eat him. Bang bang. He took out a pistol and started shooting at the ground around Naruto, scaring the animals away. He quickly went over to cut Naruto down and set him down. He checked his pulse. No, he thought. Naruto's pulse was slowing down. He then took another look at Naruto and thought about saving him. Kuritsugu Emiya, the Magus killer. He is known to be ruthless and kill anyone to kill his target. Most believes him to be a cold-hearted killer that is only interested in the money or the job. However, he is the kind of guy that is willing to bloody his hand to kill the bad guy. He is willing to kill 1 to save 10, 10 to save 100, 100 to save 1000, and so on. As long that the majority is saved, it didn't matter to who or how much he kills. Just looking at Naruto compelled Kuritsugu to save him. He felt pity for the boy and felt the urge to save him. He then reached for case and opened it, revealing a beautiful blue and gold sheath. It was Avalon and it was within the veil after being stolen before King Arthur's death. He then moved on to implant it into Naruto. Avalon has a healing effect on the one that possesses it and Kuritsugu believes that it can save Naruto. As he implanted Avalon into Naruto, another energy source entered Naruto at the same time. Swoosh boom blow. It was Yin Kurama. It finally arrived to reunite with Yang Kurama to form Kurama. What the hell? Kuritsugu yelled. A storm was created around Naruto. It was made of pure energy. The power would frighten anyone, but Kuritsugu wasn't going to abandon an injured child. The magical sheath and Yin Kurama were fighting each other for dominance in Naruto. Avalon is a noble phantasm that is based on magic and Naruto doesn't have the magic circuit needed, so it was trying to use the chakra network. However, Yin Kurama and Yang Kurama was occupying it and refused to let it in. The battle lasted for 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, Kuritsugu held onto Naruto, showing that he is there for the boy. Inside of Naruto's body, a miracle happened. During the battle for dominance, it inadvertently created magic circuits inside of Naruto. However, it wasn't any normal one. It was made from Avalon and a kitsune, so it was its own unique version. Naruto's magic circuit would have both quantity and quality. Later, it would be called the Noble Kitsune Magic Circuits. After the power storm settled down and Naruto started to heal at a rapid pace like never before, he took him with him somewhere out of the Land of Fire because it seemed that the people of this nation wants a blonde boy dead. A few days later, an Anbu team would be sent out by the Sandaime Hokage to look for the boy and come back to Konoha reporting him to be eaten. The amount of blood and animals track would suggest that he was eaten by wild animals. There wasn't any evidence to show otherwise. Oh, did I forget to say that Kuritsugu is a trained assassin and knows how to cover his track? A week later, Land of Lightning. Kuritsugu thought it was wise to bring Naruto with him, as far away from Land of Fire as possible. Considering that the Land of Lightning is one of the country on bad terms with Konoha and is closer to his way out of the veil, it was the best choice. Due to the explosion of power that erupted from Naruto, he thought it was best to leave Avalon inside of Naruto. Ah! Naruto groaned, catching Kuritsugu stroking the fire at the makeshift camp in the cave they were in. Kuritsugu scoffed at his reaction. Even without any water or nutrients in his body for 1 week and he's still alive. He thought. Kuritsugu didn't carry any supplies to give him proper care, so he hoped that Avalon will be the source of energy a human body would need to live. He went over to bring a bottle of water for him to drink. Here, drink this, he handed to the boy that was waking up. Naruto hesitated at first, but his body demanding for water made him snatch the bottle chugging it. Thanks, Naruto muttered after finished drinking the water bottle. The boy doesn't trust me. Kuritsugu thought as he analyzed him. Kuritsugu noticed then again, it wasn't surprising. He watched Naruto as he carefully looked around, looking for an exit to escape. Anyone that was beaten and crucified like Naruto was, trust will be a definite problem. The next moment, Naruto began to remember what happened. He then started to shake. Kuretsugu immediately went to Naruto to calm him. Calm down, child. I saved your life, he told Naruto gently. Why? Naruto muttered. Why did you save me? He asked a little louder. Confused by his answer. Why wouldn't I? Kuretsugu answered. It was an odd question for Naruto asked. He thought the child would be happy for someone rescuing him. I wanted to die, Naruto told him, silencing the cave. Kuretsugu didn't expected that, especially from someone so young. Why didn't you let me die? Naruto demanded a little louder. Kuretsugu could tell that Naruto was mad. Naruto's breathing rate started to increase. With Naruto's mind clear a mess, it was obvious to the older man that the young child was hyperventilating. Naruto was suddenly wrapped in a hug. It was the right thing to do, Kuretsugu told him, an attempt to calm the boy. It was something about him that triggered his parental instinct. Something that only Ilya, his daughter, could do. What happened to you was wrong. I can only imagine what happened in your life, but I know that it was completely wrong of the adults in your home to do that to you. You're an innocent child that didn't deserve a life of cruelty. Naruto began to calm down. He then hugged Kuretsugu back. Kuretsugu could hear Naruto's sob. He only held him as he let the emotionally destroyed boy express his feelings. A life of cruelty from Konoha and the knowledge of his parents destroyed him. He was only alive because Konoha wanted him to be alive. Well, the leadership of Konoha wanted him alive and they didn't want him alive in good condition. He allowed Naruto to cry out to his heart content. From his cries of pain, Kuretsugu could tell that he didn't have a good life and needed someone to support him emotionally. Thank you, Naruto said softly as he finished his emotional release. It's the least I can do for someone that suffered so much. Kuretsugu said with a smile. The smile that usually came out when he was with his family. Kuretsugu wasn't trying to be the family man on purpose. It felt natural for him to lower his guard around Naruto like he would with his family. Naruto felt something that he hasn't felt in a very long time once he heard those words. Happiness. I don't mean to pry, but I need you to tell me about yourself. I can't do anything till I know everything. Kuretsugu wanted to take the kid to safety and now he is safe, but there are other problems. He has somehow developed magical circuits and has a very powerful energy source in him. From what Kuretsugu read from the association's knowledge inside the veil, there appeared to be 9 demons that roamed the land and was later sealed into humans to become the ultimate weapon. In truth, these demons didn't have any demonic power at all. Just great hatred. Their signature that they gave off was similar to divinity. All the hatred made it hard to tell the exact nature of their power. Something that only a divine spirit would have, like the time of the age of gods. Kuretsugu's instinct told him to help the child, but he was also thinking about using the child for his own purposes. Mainly as his own weapon to achieve to dream of world peace, but he felt a need to save the boy more than save the world. Well, Naruto was unsure if he should tell him the truth. He did save his life, something that was very rare to him, but there also the fact he is a complete stranger. Though, all stranger he met wanted him dead. Seeing Naruto pondering face, he took out a cigarette and started to smoke. Tell me, do you know anything about outside of the veil? Kuretsugu asked. Naruto jaw dropped. It was an unofficial taboo to speak about it, due to all those pass through it, never return. Speaking about it is a bigger no-no than talking about Naruto's status in public in Konoha. After getting over the shock, he responded. All the adults say that it's the end of the world. Naruto answered as he remembered hearing shinobi talk about it a few times. Naruto had to hide for most of the day, so he would conveniently hear many conversation. Mainly about his status and a few times about the veil. Kuretsugu chuckled at his response. That is where they're wrong. Kuretsugu replied. The shinobi race were indeed powerful, but very narrow-minded when it comes to things outside of bloodshed. They are very behind on technology and in the field of science that isn't medicine. Believe it or not, I'm from beyond the veil and let me tell you, the world is a lot bigger than you think. Naruto gave him, do you think I'm stupid, look. He heard from Hyugas that they didn't see any chakra beyond the veil. It was basic information that all life, in the veil, requires chakra to live and Kuretsugu had absolutely none. By all rights, he shouldn't be alive in Naruto's opinion. He then started to tell his own story, as well as other knowledge about life outside of the veil. Naruto was memorized by stories of the moonlit world. Can you take me there? Out there? Naruto asked desperately. He wanted to get as far away as possible from this place Naruto calls hell. Maybe, Kuritsugu answered. He wasn't sure if it was possible, but all natives in the Vale died when they tried to leave. You see, something happened to you when I saved you. You somehow developed magic circuits. You might be able to escape Gaia's influence that is always killing your people when they tried to leave the Vale. The Vale is more of a prisoner for those with chakra because she always suck out all the chakra of any human. She wants the shinobi race to be humans, but shinobi can't live without chakra, so they die. I believe that with magic circuits, it may act as a camouflage to your chakra coils or the very least support your body to live without chakra. There is a risk of you dying if it fails. This has to be your choice. He explained to Naruto. It was a no-brainer for Naruto. He will get the peace of mind that he desperately wanted or die. It was a win-win for him. Alright, I'll risk it, Naruto answered. Kuritsugu could only pray that this work. The boy deserves a better life. Kuritsugu managed to pull it off. He got Naruto outside of the veil without any form of harm done to him by Gaia. Naruto was finally free from his past now. They can't touch him now unless they wanted to die. Then came the next problem. The Mage Association. They wanted Naruto. From the moment news of Naruto reached their ears and the news reached them in a few days, they place a sealing designation on him. A title meant for those that practice magecraft, but Naruto's existence is a miracle itself and they wanted to know the truth behind Naruto. Fortunately, he was rescued by Kister Zelrat Schweinorg, one of the 5 living magician, the user of the kaleidoscope, the operation of parallel worlds. A dead apostle ancestor and the wizard marshal. A very powerful and influential man, vampire rescued Naruto from a life of experimentation. The man told people that he was bored and found Naruto to be very interesting. He then announced to take Naruto as his apprentice, so he would receive more immunity from the Mage Association. In the end, everyone was happy. Kuritsugu even adopted Naruto as his son, which Irisville and Iliasville accepted him into the family. Naruto finally got the family that left him. He has people that love him and care for him. At first, Naruto had difficult time adjusting to life, but he eventually got over his old desire for death, mostly. The scars that the Namikaze clan and Konoha carved in him is deep. Naruto learned how to trust people and eventually love them, mainly his family. End of flashback. Irisville finished Naruto's tale. To be surprised is an understatement. It was unbelievable. The Grail told her that the veil was the biggest mystery in the world and very dangerous. To hear that the happy boy playing with his assassin father was from the veil is something many wouldn't believe. However, most of all, she was sick that these shinobi train their children for warfare and allow such behavior to go unpunished. She was a little disappointed to hear that Kuritsugu planned to use Naruto for his own purposes, but was relieved that he changed his mind. But over time, Kuritsugu changed. He is more open with us and show his loving side more often. He even gave up on the idea of using Naruto for the Heavens Feel ritual. Irisville told Saber, much to her relief. She couldn't stand using children as weapons, but it seems to be a common practice within the veil. Ever since Naruto entered our lives, we all became closer and Kuritsugu started to enjoy life. He is just a blessing for us. Then she started to giggle. I remember the first birthday he ever celebrated. I knitted that blue scarf for him and he never got rid of it since then. Ilia would always spend as much time with her new brother. Even Kuritsugu decided to devote more time into Naruto. He started to teach him the Emiya, magecraft, and even went so far to even implant his family crest on his left shoulder. It sickens me that the veil would condone acts so monstrous on a mere child. For Naruto to regain his innocence after going through that kind of hell, makes Kuritsugu and I very proud to call him our son. Whoever his parents were, they are monsters or fools to abandon a child like Naruto. To which, Saber nodded in agreement. After hearing that story, I can tell that Naruto truly is one of a kind. To endure so much, but live for the sake of others. In Naruto's case, he lived for the creature in him, which he calls his friend. If he was born in my era, I would have made him my squire. To have such devotion for someone is commendable. Saber commented. She was really moved by Naruto's story of abandonment and suffering. Even as king, I would never support child soldiers like that. It sickens me that these, shinobi, would do such a thing. Saber spat out with such venom when she thought about those people. It surprises me that you and your husband would leave Avalon inside the child. I thought he would be take it with us, so he can claim the Holy Grail. True. Before, Kuritsugu would have no problem taking Avalon or Naruto himself with us to Fuyuki City, but Naruto changed him. He is more concerned with his son's safety more than his dreams anymore. Irisviel said happily. She finished her tea and got up. I'm going to spend time with my family while I still have time. I want my son and daughter to have plenty of memories of all of us happy. She started to head out. You're free to join us, Saber. You should meet him. He may change you. Irisviel then left to go out to spend time with Ilya and Naruto. Irisviel doesn't have a long lifespan. Due to her being a homunculus created by the Einsburn, she doesn't have a long life. There is also the fact that she is the Lesser Grail and is needed for the Greater Grail, the Holy Grail, so she won't survive after the war. Also, Ilya suffer from the fate of a homunculus. Due to Ilya being her biological daughter, she won't live a full life like Naruto or Kuritsugu would. I think I would, Saber said as she finished her cup of tea. She was very interested in meeting this miracle boy. She then head off to meet the boy with one of the worst past she have heard of. It would be an experience she never had before. As the King of Knights, Saber have met many people, but Naruto was far too unique and her curiosity got the best of her to meet the boy. Time skip 7 years. Land of Fire, Elemental Nation. 7 years. 7 long years has passed since Kuritsugu and Irisviel left to Fuyuki City to win the Holy Grail. The result of the Fourth Holy Grail War. Destruction. What happened during the war is unknown to most due to the massive causality. At the end of the war, a massive fire broke out and burned a large part of the city, killing everyone in it, except for one person. The only survivor was a master from the war and his name is Kirei Kotomine, an executor from the church. He came out of the destruction alive and was brought into questioning about the events that occurred during the war. He claimed that he was personally fighting the infamous Magus killer and killed him, giving the man much fame in the magical world. It was after the death of Kuritsugu Emiya that the Grail suddenly exploded, causing the massive fire. His story was accepted and the world was informed of that night. The news of Kuritsugu's death hurt Ilya and Naruto. They were expecting their mother to die due to her circumstance, but they believed that their father would win and come home alive. Ilya was filled with rage for Kirei for killing her father and vowed to get revenge. Naruto had a similar mindset as his older sister, but noticed that the story had many holes in them. Naruto would confront the executioner when the times comes, but won't make any decision until then. The bodies of all masters were retrieved and sent back home. Kuritsugu's body was returned back to Germany to be buried in their home. Before Kuritsugu was buried, the family went over his will. Apparently, Kuritsugu already had plans for his death. His family crest was already passed on to Naruto, so there wasn't much value he can give to his children. In his will, he wanted several of his bones pulled out to be turned into origin bullets for Naruto. His remaining rounds were with him at Fuyuki City and were destroyed in the fire. Origin bullets, containing part of Kuritsugu's soul, actualize his origin of severing and binding upon contact with the target, which can cripple living creatures that are fired upon. There are no wounds or bleeding upon the bullet making contact, but the targeted area or body part appears to be suffering from necrosis. While it seems to have healed properly on the surface, the nerves and capillaries will never regenerate properly and the original function will be forever lost. While it would be bad for a living being to be hit by it, as a conceptual weapon, this bullet poses an even graver threat to Magi in particular. After grinding all the bones he offered, Naruto made several hundred bullets, along with Kuritsugu's spare Thompson contender. Kuritsugu knew that Naruto would follow in his footstep in being the next Magus killer, so he made sure that he would be ready with his signature weapon. Kurama decided altered 100 of the origin rounds so the same principle of the bullets apply to chakra users. Naruto's dream is to live happily with those he loves. However, his family will always be in danger as well as himself. His own existence put himself and Ilya in danger. Many would want to study Naruto's body due to the shinobi people living in the Age of Gods. A human from inside the veil came out of it alive as a treasure trove for a magus. A body from the Age of Gods would give a magus enough reason to go against the Mage Association to try to kidnap Naruto. Several magi already tried to kidnap Naruto, but all ended with an origin bullet in them. With Kuritsugu's death, it inspired more people to try to get Zelrech, apprentice. It forced Naruto and Ilya to go seek shelter with the rest of the Ainsburn family. Their stay with Jubstashid wasn't great, but it was necessary. The man saw a chance to make the Ainsburn greater. He couldn't get his hand on Naruto due to Zelrech's attachment to the boy, so he used Naruto's love for his older sister against him. He threatened to turn Ilya into the next Lesser Grail if Naruto didn't serve the family. To prevent this fate, Naruto agreed to serve the family, but will do so when he was ready. Considering the only thing to connect the Ainsburn and Naruto is the Ilya, Jubstashid options were limited at the time. Naruto left a year later after spending time with his big sister. Naruto went to Zelrech to get some training, so he can be prepared for the future. Zelrech started to train Naruto in any way he wanted. Naruto wanted to be like his father, but be a magus, magician in training at the same time. Naruto's first destination was to London to meet up with an old friend of his father. The friend's name is John Price, captain from the British Special Air Service, SAS, and one of Britain's best. Price worked with Kuritsugu on some mission in the Middle East and developed a friendship with each other. To hear that his friend died hit him in the heart because he knew that Kuritsugu was a good man that did what was needed, but he was used to losing friends and allies. He taught Naruto all about using guns, explosives, and military training. After the training, Naruto became a great marksman. He would prefer to use handguns, but carried a rifle and sniper with him for certain missions. Then, Naruto wanted to do something stupid, much to Zelrech's joy. Most magus don't use technology, seen as useless, but Naruto, like his father, found it useful and enjoyable. Naruto got used to modern technology like phones and video games. Naruto's favorite video game is Assassin's Creed. He got the wild idea to become an assassin like Ezio. He crafted a pair of hidden blades that would react to prana or chakra to activate it. Then Zelrech used his magic, kaleidoscope, to take Naruto into a different world. A world that Assassin's Creed was non-fiction instead of fiction. Naruto was personally trained by Ezio in using hidden blades, free running, and hand-to-hand combat. How to fight against armed people and using hidden blades to its full potential. Next was to actually teach Naruto some magecraft. As the one that bears the Emiya's crest, Naruto would need to be able to continue learning and passing on his magic research. Zelrech decided to pull Naruto into another world to give him a proper teacher. As an Uzumaki, they're naturally good at Fuinjutsu, so Naruto was taught runes because runes are similar to Fuinjutsu. He was taught by one version of Scathach that owes Zelrech a favor. She taught Naruto a great deal of runic magecraft. Naruto was comparable to her other student, Cu Chulain, in terms of runes. Naruto never found an interest in spears like his senpai did. He left satisfied in his skills in runes and made a good friend in another world. 2. Lastly, Zelrech trained him personally to be a magician instead of a magus. He trained him in the second magic. Although Naruto couldn't use it yet, Naruto managed to create something else from the lessons. Naruto managed to create a pocket dimension to store anything he wanted. Similar to a sealing scroll, but far more secure. Naruto would use a ring as a doorway to pull out or put in anything into the personal dimension. Naruto's personal ring that held all his weapons and gear was a silver ring with a sapphire stone. All of his training took him a grand total of 4 years, give or take. You can't be sure with different worlds and their own rules. In those years, he tried to keep in contact with Ilya, but she didn't know how to use a phone, so he would be taken back to Germany to spend time with her on his breaks. He tried to teach Ilya how to use a cell phone, but she ended up throwing it against the wall in her rage of not understanding it. He also came back to Germany to do work for Jubstashid in exchange for leaving Ilya alone. Naruto would be sent off to take care of members against the Ainsburn and deal with rogue magi that wanted him. Everything went fine and Naruto started to make a name for himself as the second Magus killer due to him using the Thompson contender with origin rounds like his father. Naruto started to live in the old Ainsburn castle that he lived in with Kuritsugu, Ilya, and Irisviel. He even brought over Ilya and a couple of maids to live in the castle. He didn't like to live in the main house, so he went back to the old house before their parents' death. People began to fear Naruto like his father. Naruto would dress up in a black suit and a black trench coat like his father, but wear a pair of military tactical fingerless gloves and the blue scarf that his mother, Irisveal, knitted for him and gave to him for his 5th birthday. However, his most distinguishing feature is his silver hair. Naruto grew out his hair too and let it settle down, then cut it and tied it into a ponytail that reached his upper to mid-back, so it looks similar to one of his favorite manga character. 3. Originally, Naruto was a blonde, but due to his constant use of magecraft, it turned silver. It was unknown if it was due to his own unique magecraft, tracing, or his noble kitsune magic circuits, but it completely changed his hair color. The only thing that Naruto had of his old life is his whiskers birthmark, but Naruto would use his scarf to cover most of his face, just like a certain silver-haired man in the elemental nation. Though, the change didn't bother Naruto much. His hair shows some resemblance to his sister and the other Ainsburn that is his family, mainly his mother. Much to the boy's joy, Naruto started to take jobs from both the church and mage association. Even though his only aim is to kill the bad guys and save the innocent, he didn't do it for the greater good. He did it to make the world a little safer for himself and Ilya. Naruto even developed the same smoking habit that Kuritsugu had, but thanks to Kurama and Avalon, he didn't suffer any damage that cigarettes causes to the lungs. The reason that Naruto smoked is due to his dislike to killing in general. He would always smoke a cigarette after doing a mission or if he was annoyed. Ilya was angry with her little brother, later turning to calling him Oni-chan, for some odd reason, habit of smoking, but Naruto saw it that he get to use the present Price gave him. Price gave him a black Zippo lighter with the SAS motto, "Who dares wins," and their logo as a present for Naruto. Price figured that Naruto would smoke due to taking away a life because he saw that Naruto was too nice for killing, but stubbornly went down the bloody path. In between his time, he would practice his own style of magecraft and take lesson from Kurama to use chakra. He became prophet in the use of time alter magic that Kuritsugu taught him and learn a couple of different form of magecraft. Naruto would also learn how to perform reinforcement and gradation air. Reinforcement is the most difficult magecraft with the purpose of pushing a basis to the utmost limit. Reinforcement allows one to increase the efficiency of anything that the user apply it to. For example, Naruto would increase the durability of his hidden blade, gauntlet that he received from Ezio, increase the penetration power of a gun, and the speed of his motorcycle. Gradation air, also known as projection, is the power to materialize objects of the user's imagination through the use of prana. However, it was always hollow and incomplete when being creating something. Naruto, however, took it to another level. He developed his own version that he calls tracing. Tracing greatly differs from normal projection in the fact that not only does it reproduce the shape and substance of an object, but also its entire history as well. The reason he calls it tracing is due to the fact that Naruto says, "Trace on," to activate his magic circuit. The ability works well with Naruto because Naruto is able to trace anything that he sees and know its full history, including Noble Phantasm, but Noble Phantasm would be weaker than the original that Naruto would project. Naruto would mainly trace his bullets and weapons for mission. On his free time, he would create furnitures and try to make it last forever. Sadly, the longest his creation could last is 2 months without feeding it his prana. Naruto ability in the shinobi arts isn't the best. He would mainly use only useful jutsu and chakra control technique like walking on walls or water. He preferred to stick with magecraft. Naruto would be able to use wood with runes, but can't with ninjutsu or fuinjutsu, so he figured that magecraft is a better source to use. However, Kurama wouldn't allow Naruto to slack off in his shinobi training. He would annoy Naruto until he learned ninjutsu. He also made him learn how to use his chakra properly. Naruto could only use the all 9 tails of version 1 and 4 tails of version 2. Kurama wouldn't allow him to go for more due to his body not being mature enough to handle the stress. After finishing his ninjutsu training, Kurama allowed Naruto to sign the Fox Kitsune contract that he had helped create during his time before Madara capturing him. Although the Foxes had some powerful fighters, they were mainly used as spies or as good friends. They're capable of sneaking anywhere to gather information. Naruto would use them in his jobs or use them to deliver messages to Ilya. She still couldn't use a phone, but Naruto wasn't going to give up. Although the fox summons has chakra, Gaia didn't suck out their chakra, killing them. The reason for this is due to them being a form of familiar and not being human. As a familiar, they got away with some things. Also, Gaia only recognized human with chakra as a threat, so she would allow the fox to roam free around the world. In all, Naruto is a powerhouse. Many fear him and respected him for his power. His status as the second Magus killer and a magician in training gained him a lot of reputation and brought up the Ainsburn name in the world. Many feared him due to the belief of Naruto being just like his father, but the higher-ups and enforcers, executors knew that Naruto wasn't like his father. He was more kind and put the innocents and his friends, teammate first. After establishing himself in the world, Naruto was offered to become part of the clock tower itself instead of being a freelancer. But Naruto was insistent in being a freelancer like his father, but had no problem coming to the clock tower every now and then. Naruto's name was well known in the clock tower. Not as the Magus killer. Not as the apprentice of Zelrech or magician in training. He was known for being the one to get rid of Zelrech when he returns from his trips. It wasn't a secret that Zelrech loves to get involved with everyone at the clock tower. Naruto would do the same, but with Naruto, he could be stopped unlike Zelrech. Most of the time that Naruto was called back to the clock tower, they would beg him to get rid of his master. Naruto would only stay for a few days to watch the chaos his master created, then send him on his way for another trip of his, and with each send-off, the entire tower would hold a party for his send-off. Naruto became an influential person to the tower, so many would try to get his support to further their research in the tower. Now, on with the story. We find ourselves with 3 people traveling through the land of fire. All 3 were about 13 years old and 2 of them were beautiful girls. Naruto tilde. One girl with chin-length blue hair with a dyed green fringe on the right side and dark yellow eyes complained to the silver-haired boy. She didn't like traveling in these lands. It was far too dangerous with shinobi and bandits being everywhere. How far is it? We will be in the land of waves in a few more days worth of walking, Xenovia. Naruto answered the now confirmed brunette, Xenovia. Naruto-kun. The girl with long light blue hair that reached her back and a black hair ornament tied in a ribbon said to get his attention. Are you feeling alright? She asked with a great deal of concern for Naruto. I'm fine, Krulcifer. Naruto said with a nervous chuckle, but the girl, now confirmed Krulcifer, stared at him. Not believing him. Fine, I have a itchy trigger finger. Naruto said as he gestured to inside of his trench coat. She understood what Naruto meant. He meant that he was itching for a fight with the people in this specific country. Xenovia came up and gave him a hug. Don't worry, I got your back. Then Krulcifer gave him a kiss. We're with you, no matter what. This caused him to blush while Xenovia looked jealous. Between the two brunette, Krulcifer was more daring when it came to romance. Don't get me wrong, Xenovia is straightforward as well, but Krulcifer was always the first to act at the right time. Thanks, Naruto said with a smile. Naruto was wearing his usual outfit. He wore a black suit and a black trench coat, similar to his father. Also, with fingerless gloves and his blue scarf, but it wasn't covering his face at the time. Naruto had inside of his trench coat, a left side shoulder holster for right-handed shooter. Inside the shoulder holster is his Thompson contender. He also had 2 thigh holster on his left and right leg. Inside those 2 holster are 2 FN57. He loves the 5.7, each held 20 rounds per clip and it was a reliable pistol. The rest of his gear was in his left ring finger silver with sapphire storage ring. There was also the 2 hidden blades that Ezio gave him under his trench coat and over his suit. The hidden blades had the same design as Ezio's hidden blade during his time in the Assassin's Creed 2. Ezio saw Naruto that he was an assassin like him. To work on the dark to serve the light. Naruto does have a sense of honor, but would ignore it if the circumstance call for it. Xenovia was wearing a black, skin-tight, short-sleeved unitard with pauldrons, matching fingerless gloves that extend to her biceps, and thigh-high boots, all of which are adorned with straps. Covering her outfit is a white hooded cloak. This entire outfit came from her past. She also had a storage ring that Naruto made for her. It was a silver ring with an emerald stone. Krulcifer wore a black suit, just like Naruto. She also had a storage ring, a silver ring with a light blue zircon stone. What can I say? Blue hair girls, blue scarf, blue ring gem. Naruto likes blue a lot. Naruto's storage ring became a popular item that many magus wanted. It was part of Naruto's research, but Naruto didn't have any problem selling his storage rings with runes to prevent anyone to analyze them. With the help of the Ainsburn family, Naruto managed to create many storage rings to sell to many magus. Naruto became more popular instead of infamous, and the Ainsburn were satisfied with the increase of reputation that Naruto created for them. Both girl has history with Naruto and he affected both of them deeply. Flashback. Naruto was starting out his career as the magus killer. Naruto wasn't viewed as much as a threat as he is now, but it didn't stop him from accepting requests to take out rogue magi or dead apostle. Naruto was sent off by Jubstashet to kill a dead apostate that entered Germany. Naruto went off to hunt down the dead apostate. This isn't good, Naruto said as he followed the trail. That vampire bastard is going after the Einfolk family. Naruto then rushed over to the family resident in the outskirt of a rural town. Naruto prepared his Thompson contender, so he could end the dead apostle quickly. However, he was a little late. Naruto kicked down the door to find two dead parents and the dead apostate hovering over a scared girl. "Hey asshole!" Naruto screamed at the dead apostate. The dead apostle turned around to see who interrupted his meal. His face was dripping of blood, most likely from the feeding of the parents. Bang! Naruto shot him with an origin round in the middle of his forehead. Just to make sure he goes down in one hit. The dead apostate went down immediately. After Naruto holstered his gun, he heard someone crying. "Mother, father, please wake up," the blue-haired girl cried as she tried to shake her parents awake. Only to fail. Naruto went over to her and took off his trench coat and put it over her. Then gave her a tight hug. "Let it out," Naruto said gently to her while brushing the back of her head. Then the girl burst into tears and cried over Naruto's shoulder, while holding onto him as if her life depended on it. After several minutes to let her cry. "Feel better?" Naruto asked her. However, she didn't reply. She only stared at her parents' bodies. "We should give them a proper burial," Naruto said while he got up to go over to the bodies, but was stopped. "No," the girl said quietly. "I'll do it. I'm their daughter." She then went over to try to carry her parents, only to struggle to do so. "No, I know how it's like to lose both of your parents. Going through it alone is too painful." Naruto then went over to help her. Both managed to pick up the mother and set her outside. Naruto had a determined look to help her to deal with the burial. Unknown to Naruto, a small smile formed on the girl and she muttered, "Thank you." After crafting two proper grave for the parents, Naruto and the girl went inside to rest. Naruto went to the kitchen to cook some food for them. Over the years, Naruto learned how to cook, so he can personally feed Ilya. Much to her joy, Naruto is a great cook. He found it as a nice hobby and would work on improving his culinary skills whenever he can. Naruto wiped up a German goulash stew for the two. Naruto brought it over to the table that the girl was quietly staying at. He went over to sit next to her. "My mother used to cook this for me," she said, only to start to cry again. Naruto held her close. After a quiet meal, "Do you have any family left?" Naruto asked her, only for her to shake her head. He then rubbed the back of his head. "Oni-chan is going to kill me," he muttered. Ilya didn't like Naruto hanging out with girls. Some could say that she developed an older brother complex, but considering that she is the older one, but at the same time shorter by a few inches, it was weird relationship between the two. "You can stay with me." "Are really?" she asked with tears in her eyes. Naruto came over and gave her a big hug. "Of course. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Naruto Emiya, current head of the Emiya family," he said with a big smile and hand out for her. She reached out and shook his hand. "Krulsifer Einfolk, current head of the Einfolk family," she said sadly at the last part. Since then, she stayed with Naruto. He brought her back to the Ainsburn castle that he was living in with Ilya and a few maids. Much to the girl's ire, she didn't like having Krulsifer around her, Oni-chan. However, she understood that Naruto wouldn't allow any harm come to her, so she relented. Seeing as Krulsifer is a head of a magus family, she decided to take it upon her to teach her proper manners of being a princess. Over the years she got over the death of her parents thanks to Naruto's help. She even joined him on his mission and would work as his partner. Krulsifer was from a Magus family, so she had little understanding for modern technology, but surprisingly, she took it like fish to water. She became well versed in the use of modern technology and weapons like Naruto. She preferred to use long-range sniper rifle, due to it going with her magecraft. After the death of her parents, Naruto managed to get Zelrich's help to transfer the magic crest onto Krulsifer from her father. The Einfolk research were similar to the Emiya's research. Both were studying in time magic. Unlike the Emiya's time alterability, the Einfolk created the Wise Blood. Wise Blood allow the user to see into the future, but only in the general area of the caster or the focus area. The ability to predict the future is very powerful and helped with Krulsifer when she took on the sniper rifle as her main choice of weapon. There were times that Naruto called her Maya Jr. due to her being a partner for him like how Maya was for his father. They even have some romantic relationship between each other. Unlike his father, Naruto did develop some feelings for Krulsifer and she did for Naruto as well. A year later, Naruto made a name for himself. He became well known as the second Magus killer and had plenty of requests for his help from the Mage Association and the church. Although Krulsifer was helping in most of the jobs, her name wasn't well known for the deeds. Naruto felt that he was taking all the credit, so he tried to get Krulsifer Einfolk name out there. Only a few started to recognize her name, but it wasn't enough to satisfy Naruto. Fortunately, Krulsifer didn't care. She only cared that Naruto acknowledge her, not the world. The news of a pair of kids doing dangerous mission that veteran enforcers or executioners would do, brought up some jealousy. Mainly from the church and mage association. They had people to hunt down dead apostate and rogue magi, but the kids were doing them already. The executioners felt like they were being mocked by the two freelancers, so they advanced their own training for their recruits. There was a young Magus girl that was an executioner in training. She was the same age as the pair of freelancers. Her family was killed or abandoned her when she was a baby. It wasn't unknown. The reason they knew that she was a Magus is due to the weapon that was left with her in the church. It was a mystic code uniquely shaped broadsword with a blue blade and a golden edge. The sword has a semicircular guard on the left side of the handle that extends to the bottom just above the pommel, with a small extension on the right side of the handle. The mystic code was given to the girl when she was doing her training as an executioner. The church took care of her for all of her life. She had great potential and they made her an official executioner to try to compete with Naruto and Krulsifer. The church sent out a request for Naruto to deal with a dangerous dead apostle ancestor. One that revealed himself to attack humanity. Many executioner were sent along with Naruto and Krulsifer to hunt this one down. The one that surprised Naruto and Krulsifer was a blue-haired girl about their age, carrying a blade larger than her. The night before the assault, the girl isolated herself from the group. Naruto and Krulsifer went over to her. Nervous? Naruto asked the young executioner as he took a seat next to her with Krulsifer doing the same. A little. This is my first mission. The girl replied. This is your first mission hunting down an ancestor? Krulsifer said surprisingly. A regular dead apostle hunt was dangerous already, but an ancestor, that's overkill for rookies. The girl only gave a nervous chuckle. If it makes you feel better, this is our first hunt for an ancestor too. Naruto said, trying to calm the girl down. The girl looked at Naruto closely. You're Naruto Emiya, the Magus killer, right? Yeah, my father was the original Magus killer and I wanted to continue that legacy. Naruto said sheepishly while rubbing the back of his head. He then gestured to Krulsifer. This is Krulsifer Einfolk, my partner. She gave her a nod. But you're a kid, so are you. By the way, you haven't introduced yourself yet. Naruto said, changing the subject of age. Oh, I'm Xenovia. No surname. My parents died when I was young. Xenovia said. She says her parents died due to taking comfort in them dying than abandoning her. We know how you feel. Krulsifer said. Naruto put his hand over Krulsifer's hand. I lost my parents last year to a dead apostle. She tightened her grip on Naruto. It was still a sore subject when it's brought up. My parents died a while back. Naruto said as he started to wrap part of his face with his scarf. It reminds him to touch of his mother. After several minutes of talking, Xenovia calmed down about the hunt and enjoyed the presence of her supposed rival. Then Naruto and Krulsifer were about to leave to go to sleep. Any advice for me? Do you trust in your comrades? Krulsifer asked. Xenovia nodded. Then just trust in them and you'll be fine. Naruto finished. Xenovia smiled at that. She was alone most of her life and having comrades to rely on helped ease her mind. They all went to sleep to prepare for the assault in the morning. During the assault, it didn't went well. At first everything went according to plan, but later it was ruin. Some of the executioner didn't want to have the credit of killing an ancestor to the Magus killer, so some got eager and went up ahead to confront the ancestor. That is when everything went foobar. The ancestor easily killed the charging group of executioner easily. Then others started to go off the plan and soon enough, people were dying left from right. Soon enough, the squad captain of the group of executioner called a full retreat. The hunt was a complete failure. Poor Xenovia was abandoned by her comrade. She was shocked that her own comrade would leave her behind to be killed, eaten by an ancestor or be turned into one of his pawn. She was in tears when the ancestor was approaching her. Get the fuck away from her. Naruto screamed as he tackled the ancestor in his version 2 of the Biju cloak, while Krulsifer went over to check on Xenovia. Naruto would rarely rely on Kurama's power because he didn't want to depend on it. There was also the fact that he was given temporary god status when he entered version 2 or higher. As an Uzumaki, he is a descendant of the Sage of the Sixth Path, who is the son of the Rabbit Goddess. A woman that ascended to godhood after absorbing the Shinju's power. Naruto is in fact a demigod, but his divine blood is very diluted. When he used Kurama's power, it amply the blood to reach god status. However, Naruto doesn't have great control as a god. Naruto may have the power of a god at the moment, but it was raw power. Pure, raw, hateful power. That means that he has little power to use against powerful foes such as ancestors, but the presence of a god was enough to scare away the ancestor. The dead apostle ancestor ran away after seeing Naruto in version 2. After letting the ancestor go, Naruto transformed back to normal, ridding himself of the hateful aura that you would usually find with a berserker-class heroic spirit. Naruto turned to see Xenovia crying with Krulsifer holding onto her. Xenovia did at one point felt like her parents did abandon her and she fell into a depression. Seeing her comrade actually abandoning her, the feeling came back up. Naruto went over to pick her up to take her back to base camp. Back at base camp, it was a mess. There were injured executioner and several piss-off people. The plan was going smoothly, then several got excited and ruined everything. Thank God that you're alive. The leader of the executioner group went over to check on Xenovia, who was still hanging onto Naruto. He placed his hands on Xenovia to take Xenovia off of Naruto, but she only tightened her grip on Naruto. She needs a friend now, not a coworker. Naruto said coldly as he walked past the leader and brought Xenovia to his tent. It's true that the leader didn't abandon Xenovia personally, but he was the first to run away and only caring for his own life. Naruto managed to pry Xenovia off of him to set her in his own sleeping bag. Krulsifer decided to be the one to comfort Xenovia through the night while they sleep. Naruto decided to sleep in a tree outside of their tent. In the morning, Naruto walked in to talk to the traumatized girl. How are you feeling, Xenovia? Naruto asked. I don't know, Xenovia said with a pause. I trusted them and they abandoned me. Then they are not the kind of people you should trust. Krulsifer commented. I can see that it's going to be harder for you to continue the work as an executioner. Sai, you can come with us. We won't abandon you, Naruto said as he placed his hand on her shoulder. She then remembered Naruto and Krulsifer rescuing her after being left behind. I want to come with you, Xenovia said as she hugged Naruto tightly. He hugged her back. It official then. Welcome to the family. Then Krulsifer joined in the hug. She now has a new friend that isn't smaller than her or one that doesn't give a glare every now and then. Xenovia left the church to join Naruto in Germany. Of course there was several complaints about losing someone with a lot of potential, but the news of her being left behind on a mission countered the complaints. Xenovia joins the two at the Einsburn castle where Ilya was displeased even more when she was already irritated with the current tenant in her house. Of course Naruto worked it over with him spending more time at home with Ilya and cooking more often for everyone in the house. Ever since Xenovia joined Naruto, she felt indebted to him. Even though Naruto claims she doesn't owe anything to him, but she insisted. She eventually became the official maid of the Emiyu family. Ilya got the idea to train Xenovia into being a proper maid. She had her own maid, Lacerit, and Sella trained Zenobia into being a proper maid. She was given a black and white French maid outfit. One that wasn't that modern woman would wear, but a proper one. Zenobia would serve Naruto as much as possible because she enjoyed being with Naruto. They eventually develop a relationship like he did with Krulcifer. With much debate with the two Bluenet, they decided to allow Naruto to have a harem, so all of them can be happy. Zenobia was overall an assertive maid. She had no problem of changing Naruto or giving him a bath, much to his dismay. She even went into the kitchen to cook him a meal, but was later kicked out by Naruto himself. Apparently, he didn't take kindly to the blue-haired maid burning the kitchen down. It was his domain, so anyone in his kitchen was prohibited to cook in. He didn't allow Lacerit, Sella, or anyone else into the kitchen when he was home. Krulcifer would sneak into the kitchen to cook him a surprise every now and then when Naruto wasn't looking. Zenobia would follow Naruto on mission like Krulcifer did. She would wear her old personal executioner outfit when out on mission. The three became a great team. Krulcifer would be the long-range fighter, support. Naruto would be mid-range fighter to close-quarter combatant. Zenobia would be out in front as the powerhouse tank with her mystic code. End of flashback. Random village in Fire Country. Once entering the town, Naruto sensed something. He sensed someone in great sadness. Ever since Naruto started to learn from Kurama, he learned a unique way to sense people. He learned how to sense emotion of any individual. Hey, why don't you two go get the supplies? Naruto told Krulcifer and Zenobia while walking away already. But, you're the one that, Krulcifer tried to say, but was cut off. Oh, don't worry. You can handle it. I trust you two in getting what is needed. Naruto already was far enough, so that Zenobia or Krulcifer won't stop him. The two girls knew that Naruto was about to get involved with something none of his business. The two girls gave up and went to the shop to buy more food and other supplies. Naruto went over to the bar where he sensed the presence. It so happens to be in the tavern in town. He then spotted a gray-haired, bespectacled man with a large beard and dark eyes. By the looks of it, the old man was drowning his sorrows in booze. Naruto took a seat next to the man. Bartender, sake over here, Naruto said with his face covered by his scarf. Aren't you a little young to drink, kid? The bartender asked Naruto, only for Naruto to slam his fist on the bar, surprising every drinker in the bar. All right, sir. He then poured a shot for him. The town was just a small village for travelers to pass by. They didn't have many visit of shinobi around these parts. Naruto drink like he smokes, but thanks to his healing abilities and his blood from Kushina Uzumaki, he has a very strong tolerance against alcohol. He could outdrink most alcoholics outside the Vale. Naruto would laugh at how the warrior race, shinobi, would only drink sake and couldn't get their hands on great quality drinks like vodka. Naruto quickly drank the shot by opening up a small hole in his scarf, so no one can see his face. He then slammed down a large stack of Ryo. Enough for the drink, the broken bar, and a generous tip. Keep the change. Thank you very much, sir. The bartender said happily, no longer afraid of the generous boy. He had enough to make improvements to his tavern. Naruto then turned to the old man he was sensing. Hey old man, what got you down? Naruto asked. Just life sucks now. The old man complained as he took another swig of the bottle he bought. Wanna talk about it? Just that I fucked up. I was supposed to hire some shinobis from Konoha, at which Naruto scoffed at. Yeah, I feel the same way. I was trying to get help, but their Hokage refused my offer. So I'm going back home without the help we need. I'm a freelance mercenary, Naruto said, piquing his interest. I would charge you a better price, but I'm on a mission to the land of waves now. Sorry old man, if I finish early, then you can come for me for help. Naruto got up and left the bar, finding out what he wanted, but sadly couldn't help him. The old man was still in shock from hearing what Naruto has said. Sure, he was a kid, but so was his supposed help that he hired. Those three brats and Cyclops handled two rogue ninja without much difficulty, so this brat could help him. He certainly carry himself as a professional. The old man thought as he looked at Naruto. He chased Naruto out of the tavern. Wait, kid, my home is in the land of waves. Can you help me? I'll pay a little now and more in the future. He begged on his knees. Get up old man, you don't need to beg on your knees, Naruto said as he put his hand on his shoulder to get him up. Just tell me what you need help with. Okay. The land of waves is ruled by a cruel businessman named Gato. He took over our country and started to bleed all of us dry of everything we had. The only way to escape his rule if I build a bridge to connect us to the mainland. Gato hired rogue ninjas to try to kill me, so I sneak out of waves and went to Konoha. I managed to get a group of kids to help me, but I couldn't complain with that much help I was getting. Once we left, we were attacked by some rogue ninja, but they were handled quickly. We had to go back because the redhead girl was hurt and they wouldn't risk helping me without more information. I told the Hokage the full truth, but he wouldn't accept any of my offer, so I left. The old man explained to Naruto. Typical Konoha, they were trying to get more out of you in your country. It was best that you left. A deal with Konoha would have replaced one tyrant with another. Naruto said with his own experience from Konoha. Well, your mission goes along with my mission, so I don't see why I can't help you. We can talk about pay after the job is done. Giving the man the smile he needed in a long time, but was a little worried about the fee. If Naruto does help him, he could overcharge him, but it was better than seeking help from a shinobi village. They would demand far more than usual or even more depending on who was hiring them. Mercenary would only ask for money, which can be earned in time. I have 2 others with me. Try to not piss them off, Naruto said as he led the old man to his girls. Naruto brought the old man to the girls that finished getting the supplies. He understood what Naruto meant about not pissing them off. They were beautiful for their young age. They already garner the attention of many men in the streets. Several earn a broken jaw from Xenovia. They eventually made their way to the coast. We will set up camp here, Naruto said as he then started to pull out supplies and tents from his storage ring. The girls started to set up camp. Hey, we're almost to my home. We will be there in a few more hours, the old man complained. By then, we will be outside at night. You said Gato hired some rogue shinobi, so they would have the advantage of slitting your throat in the dark if we go now. It's safer if we go in the morning when there is light, Naruto retorted. He then went off to draw up some runes around them to set up a bounded field. While Xenovia started the fire, Krulsifer started to talk to the old man. You never introduce yourself, mister, she said with a sly grin. This entire time, they were helping a man that they don't even know about, except for his home being the land of waves. Oh, sorry about that, the old man laughed at. Thinking about it, he never asked about them either because all he cared about at the time was that he was getting some help. I'm the master bridge builder, Tazuna the Great. The girls just gave him a blank stare. Tough crowd. I'm Xenovia Emiya. Xenovia introduced herself as she started the fire. Ever since becoming the head maid for the Emiya family, she took on the name to show that she has family now. The maid of the Emiya family. Surprising Tazuna. He wouldn't expect a servant to be out here fighting like this. I'm Krulsifer Einfolk, Tazuna-san, she said with a bow. Out of the 3, she had respect for the elderlies. Well, actually, she was the only one to respect anyone. Naruto won't respect anyone till they prove themselves, and Xenovia only show respect to Naruto. That's a weird name you got there, Krulsifer-san, Xenovia-san. Tazuna commented about their name. Considering everything inside the veil was mostly Japanese base, they wouldn't expect words or name from anything outside of it. We're not from around here, she said mysteriously. Who's the boy? Tazuna asked about Naruto. He wouldn't call him a brat since he did accept his request. Krulsifer and Xenovia look at each other, then turn to him. His name isn't something he liked to advertise. He goes by his alias, the Magus Killer, but you can call him Emiya. Krulsifer answered. The Magus Killer. Tazuna shouted in shock. The name was well known all around the elemental nation. As for the term Magus, it derived from fairy tales from before the formation of the village system. To the shinobi's knowledge, Magus was a myth about a group of people that knows magic. Considering that Naruto was using that name when he went into the veil, everyone would call him that. Tazuna then went for his backpack to pull out his bingo book that he got off the dead rogue ninja he passed after leaving Konoha after the failed negotiation. He quickly turned to the page with the Magus Killer information. Bingo book, page 17. Name: Emiya. Alias: the Magus Killer. Rank: S. Age: 14. Affiliation: freelance mercenary. Base of operation is unknown. Known elemental affinity: wood, ice, wind, water, earth, fire. Description: Appears to be a boy with cerulean blue eyes and silver long hair. Height is about 5 feet 2 or 5 feet 3. His face is always covered by the blue scarf he wears. His attire consists of a black suit and a black trench coat with black combat boots. Ninjutsu. Shown to use the wood release and ice release Kekkei Genkei. Assumed to be from the Senju and Yuki clan, but no proof. Shown different level of water, fire, wind, and earth jutsu. Taijutsu. Weak at taijutsu, but excel at countering taijutsu and bukajutsu, weapon jutsu. He is physically weak, but knows how to fight physically strong opponents. Genjutsu. Shown to be very powerful. He is capable of casting genjutsu to be unnoticed by many A-rank shinobi. He is also capable of releasing high-level genjutsu as shown with his confrontation with the rogue ninja, Danzo Shimura. Fuinjutsu. Most promising fuinjutsu out there. He is capable of drawing seals in air with his fingers and is rumored to be able to do it in his mind. There have been people that hired the Magus Killer say that he managed to create a storage scroll in the form of a ring that can only be reached by himself only. Witness claims that the storage ring allow the Magus Killer to quickly retrieve weapons in it compared to storage seals. Is known to carry odd weapons that can kill from a distance, carries a dangerous sword, and a pair of hidden blades in his sleeves. Actions. He fought with the Raikage, I. It was shown that the Magus Killer was faster than him. It was said that only Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, is the only one to be able to keep up with him, but the Magus Killer was said to be faster, so it's assumed to be faster than the Yellow Flash. His victory against I made him the youngest S-rank shinobi. He reached S-rank at the age of 12, 1 year earlier than the previous record broker, Itachi Uchiha, Konoha's crow. Known to hunt and kill bandits, thieves, and notorious missing ninja. Overthrew the ruler of Land of Snow, Dodo Kazuhana, and replace it with the rightful ruler, Koyuki Kazuhana, or more commonly known as the famous actress Yukie Fujikaze. He's a freelance mercenary, so he can be hired at the right price and reason. Many have claimed that he is a man of honor and morals. Fought against rogue ninja of Konoha, Orochimaru of the Sannin, and Danzo Shimura. Defeated both with the help of 2 girls. He claimed Orochimaru's Kusanagi as a trophy. He destroyed Danzo's Sharingan that is said to belong to the deceased Shisui Uchiha, Shisui of the Body Flicker. Fought in Kiri's civil war and turned the tides for the rebels. He fought Yagura, the 4th Mizukage, and won, making him Kiri's hero. He is also seen to work with Kumo and Iwa shinobi. Not that all his action isn't in order. It is known that he is with 2 blue-haired girls about the same age. What is most confusing about the 2 girls is that they have no chakra, so they can't be sense. The Magus Killer is shown to be able to erase his own chakra signature to match the girls. Recommendation. Flee on sight. It is known that the Magus Killer is a hero for the innocent. If you have committed a crime against innocent, he will kill you. Bounty. 1. Otogakure no Sato 75 million ryo dead or alive. Konohagakure no Sato 100 million ryo. Alive. He's the Magus Killer. Tazuna shouted after finishing reading Naruto's entry. Naruto was still out applying the runes. The 2 girls were nodding with a cheesy grin. They were happy that Naruto had a great reputation in the Vale. Sure, it was going to get him killed, but it was better than association, the name, Magus Killer, with killing the innocent that his father created. Naruto may have not cared about it, but they do. He's the one that liberated the Land of Spring from their own tyrant. Tazuna said. He was happy to know that he hired one of the best person to save his country. According to the rumors, he saved so many villages and people around the elemental nation, but he was afraid of the cost for someone so famous. The story of the Land of Spring having their cruel leader killed and replaced with the rightful heir with help from outside was the story that gave him the courage to go out to Konoha and get help. Oyaaa Xenovia and Krulcifer said as they began to remember the mission that started to get Naruto noticed. Flashback. Naruto, Krulcifer, and Xenovia were starting out as freelancers inside the Vale. It was during their first year in the Vale. So far, the girls didn't like the shinobi race, but admit that it was a nice place. Modern society hasn't destroyed the land yet, and overall it was peaceful when they weren't attacked by bandits on a daily basis. Naruto was hired by a manager of a famous movie actress. The manager was Sandayu Asama, and he was once saved by Naruto when he and his actress, Yukie Fujikaze, was being attacked by a group of shinobi hired to kidnap the actress. The gang was passing by and easily killed the shinobis. He then hired them for a job after giving his thanks. On the day to leave for shooting, Yukie ran away. Naruto, as the group censor, went after her. He followed her to a bar where she was getting drunk. "You're done drinking yourself stupid yet?" Naruto asked rudely. "Leave me alone, kid. Just let me drink." Yukie, the woman with long black hair with bangs that swept on each side of her face and light-colored eyes, slurring say. She took another sip of sake. "Get over your problem, lady," Naruto said loudly, but not enough to alarm everyone in the bar. Naruto was able to sense her feelings, so he could relate to how she is feeling. She was in pain from a loss, so she became apathetic. "You think that you're the only one that lost someone important." Naruto then pulled out his contender and whacked her on the head, knocking her out. He brought the unconscious woman back. Sandayu was a little mad about him hurting Yukie, so Naruto healed her once he gave her to Sandayu to carry. Once on the ship, he and the girls watch her act the scene. Xenovia and Krulcifer were fans of her, but her attitude wasn't something they were expecting. Hell, Naruto is the same way, but he was better at hiding his feelings, opinion for Yukie Fujikaze. Then when they reached the land of snow to only find trouble. A couple of snow ninja were waiting for them and tried to kidnap Yukie. The reason she was their target is due to the land of snow's daimyo, Dodo Kazuhana, wanting to capture the daughter of the previous daimyo and his niece. Yukie Fujikaze's true name is Koyuki Kazuhana, the heir of Land of Snow. A fight broke out where Naruto attacked the leader of the squad, while Xenovia attacked the girl and big guy that went after Yukie. Krulcifer stayed with the shell-shocked Yukie, or now revealed Koyuki, to provide sniper support for Xenovia. Her sniper wasn't doing much, so she switched to jewel-encrusted bullet that supplies elemental magecraft. Mainly her ice bullets. The Kunoichi commented about how Krulcifer's weapon is more advanced than their own version and would take it when taking Koyuki. Only to fail at either attempt, Krulcifer's support and Xenovia's attack pushed them back and destroyed their chakra armor. It surprised them to see that chakra base attack would destroy their chakra armor. It was then Naruto summoned many fireballs with runes to attack the entire island, quickly destroying it and forcing the snow ninja to retreat, while they retreat back to the ship. During the entire fight, the camera crew were recording the fight and were planning to use it in the movie, saying that what they saw was never seen in any movie or shinobi battle they ever saw before. Back in the ship, the truth was revealed to everyone, but Koyuki still refused to confront her uncle, choosing to finish the movie and leave. Naruto was about to beat some sense into her until Sandayu stopped him. It was then that they reached the mainland of Snow Country when Koyuki ran away again. She eventually fell due to exhaustion and Naruto showed up. "You done running away?" Naruto asked coldly. Then he picked her up and carried her on his back and started to walk back. She was silent till they reached a tunnel. Why do you keep looking for me?" she asked Naruto with an apathetic tone. "It's painful, isn't it?" Naruto asked back. She didn't understand completely. "The pain of losing everyone you love. I don't know what happened in your past, but I can see the same pain of losing a parent. You have been running away from the pain and letting it rule your life." She listened carefully to his words, but denied it at the end. "My name is Naruto Emiya. I lost my parents too, so I know the pain. By the end of the mission, I'll heal your heart," Naruto said with a grin as he showed his face to her. She still didn't react to Naruto's unveiling of his face. "All I'm going to do is act when we get back," she told him. "I don't care about what you do. The job is to take care of you and that is what I'm going to do," Naruto told her, but she wasn't taking him seriously anymore. It was then Naruto saw the ice melt and under the ice were tracks. "Tracks? You guys have train? Man, you're behind," Naruto said with a laugh. Only to irritate Koyuki. She may seem cold, but trains were her father's work and she won't allow anyone to insult him, but her. "Hey, trains are the most advanced form of transportation around the world," she said loudly, only for Naruto to laugh. "Right, where I come from, this thing is ancient." It was then Naruto heard a train horn. He turned around to only see a train light. God damn it, Naruto started to run. Luckily he was fast enough to keep ahead of the train. "It's catching up," Koyuki screamed. seeing as the train was getting closer to them. "Shut it," Naruto shouted back. "You'll never make it. We're going to die." She screamed in resignation to death by train. "Like hell we are. I escaped the wrath of the damn Ort. I'm not going to allow some old relic kill me." Naruto shouted in protest. Koyuki didn't understood what a Ort was. It was during one of Zelrich's prank on Naruto. He threw Naruto in South America where the Ort or the type Mercury was residing in. Naruto landed on it and it attacked Naruto. Naruto ran for his dear life, while the Ort tried to kill him. He was forced to take his time alter spell to a new level to escape that monster. Zelrech was laughing his ass off, and the best part was that he was recording the whole thing. Time alter. Double Excel. Naruto shouted to use the Emiya's magecraft research. The spell speeds up his blood flow, hemoglobin metabolism, and muscle movement all at the same time at double the rate. Naruto could make it go triple the rate or higher depending on which spell he cast. Naruto suddenly was moving faster than normal. Twice the speed he was going, and managed to escape the train and reach the exit a good 20 seconds before the train made it. Koyuki was surprised at the speed that Naruto was going. She thought no one can outrun a train like that, but Naruto seemed to prove her wrong. "You better thank me, kid. If it weren't for my healing capabilities, the backlash of time alter would have done more harm than good." Kurama commented. "You forgot about Avalon," Naruto retorted, seeing that his already godly healing speed was thanks to both Kurama and Avalon. "Whatever. Wake me up when you need me." Kurama then went back to sleep. It was then Dodo came out of the train to confront Koyuki and demand for her necklace, the key to her father's last creation. It was then that Sandayu and a small army of samurai showed up to kill Dodo and instate their princess. However, Dodo had other plans. The army charged at Dodo when he pushed a button to reveal what looks like to be a volley system. "Oh no you don't," Naruto shouted as he slammed his hand into the ground after quickly writing up some runes in the air. Then what seems to be roots travel underground to reach in front of the army, and a wall of wood appeared in front of them, shocking Dodo and everyone else. Koyuki's eyes landed on Naruto, who seemed to be the cause of the wall. It was then the volley system launched hundreds of kunai at the army, but thankfully for Naruto, the wall protected them. Everyone in the elemental nation knew about the legendary wood release that belongs solely to Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage. She was amazed by his act to defend her people and slowly started to believe in him, believing that her uncle can be beaten and there was still hope. It was then a series of explosions on the track and on the mountain went off to trap the train. It seemed like Krulcifer was planning ahead. It forced everyone in the train to come out and fight in person. It was then Xenovia attacked the snow ninja with the help of the army and Krulcifer from her sniping position. Naruto took on Dodo himself. At first the fight seemed one-sided between Naruto and Dodo. He launched many high-level ice jutsu at Naruto, but Naruto was dodging all of them without any trouble. It was then that Dodo broke the ice under him. They were conveniently fighting over a frozen lake, so Naruto was forced underwater. It was then that Dodo launched even more black ice dragons at Naruto to attack him. The attack were relentless and Koyuki tried to get to Naruto, only for Dodo to encase her in a prison of ice spears. "Naruto, Naruto, get up. I believe in, you can win," she screamed, hoping that her words would be enough to reach Naruto and give him enough strength to fight back. "Ha ha ha, don't bother, he couldn't survive my barrage of attacks." Dodo laughed, only for the wind to pick up and surround the hole that Naruto fell in. It was then a massive Asian dragon made of ice with red eyes shot out of the lake with Naruto riding him, too. "This ends today, Dodo," Naruto shouted from the ice dragon that Naruto created. The dragon was one of his strongest rune magic he could create. "Kokitus," Naruto commanded his dragon. Kokitus then launched a powerful ice beam at Dodo, which froze him solid. It was then a sniper bullet came from the mountain and hit the icicle Dodo and turned him into snowflakes or ice flakes or whatever, dust. It was over. The tyrant was killed along with his followers. Naruto healed Koyuki's mental scars and she became the daimyo of the newly found land of springs. The reason for the changes for the last treasure that her father created was a heat generator that melted all the ice. Naruto and his friends became heroes to the country and Naruto managed to work out a deal to buy a plot of land to build a new home for him in her country. She didn't complain considering her newfound attraction for the young silver head. Only Koyuki and a few others would know that Naruto lives in the land of spring. The reason he chose to live in this country is due to the snow that reminded him of his home in Germany. And most of all, the movie crew recorded the entire thing and made millions when the movie was showed. It also drew a lot of attention because it was also an advertisement for the Magus Killer. Many Kage planned to put a bounty on the Magus Killer to gain his bloodline of Hayatan and Mokutan. However, they reconsider that choice when they learn that he's a freelance mercenary, so they went out to hire him instead of capture him. Except for Konoha. They believed that the Mokutan belonged to Konoha only due to it being the Senju Kekkei Genkei, so they kept the bounty on him. Naruto would refuse all messages or requests from the Land of Fire due to the bounty they place on him. Naruto started to work for sometimes Onoki, and made Terumi, the leader of the rebels in Kiri. Naruto will help in the future and liberate the country from the unjust ruler. They tried to convince Naruto to join them, but gave up and settled with becoming a friend of his. Only Onoki, and Terumi knew the identity of the Magus Killer and some information about outside the veil and his connection with Konoha, Koyuki included. End of flashback. After listening to the story of how they liberated a country from a tyrant, Tazuna felt happy. Very happy. The kids in front of him fought and killed a man worse than Gato. He got help from one of the most powerful shinobi out there and it would cost less than the team of brats at Konoha. He felt hope again. He then looked at the bingo book again. The picture and description matches the boy that he met. Hey, why is it that Otto and Konoha are the only one putting a bounty on him? It confused him why don't others place a bounty on him like these two did. Oh it just that they're greedy, Xenovia answered. Unfortunately, he didn't understand what she meant. Xenovia meant that we attack Otto before due to one of our mission, so they don't like us. Well, Konoha, they immediately place a bounty on him once he earn a spot in the bingo book. Krolsifer tried to clarify. Why would Konoha want to capture the Emiya-san? He seems like a good guy to me. Tazuna asked once again. Then Naruto came out, finished with the bounded field. They want my skills and weapons. Naruto said as he pulled out his Thompson contender and fired a standard bullet into the air, scaring Tazuna as he never heard a sound like that before. They're a power-hungry village and want the best for themselves. If you agreed to have Konoha help you, they would have made you hand over all assets in waves to them and coerce you into an alliance. Naruto said bitterly. He and the girls were already attacked by many Konoha shinobi and other bounty hunters. At first, Konoha shinobi went back with a few injured and a warning that others would come back in bodies bag. Oh, Tazuna said. It would make sense now that Naruto pointed out. He offered to pay a rank mission and even went as far as to pay S rank when the economy was back to normal. Before Gato's arrival, Waves was the one of the biggest trading nation in the east, being the perfect place for ships to dock and trade for the mainland of Kiri. That bastard. He wanted me to hand over my home to him. He shouted angrily. Enough with these talk. It's time for dinner. Naruto said happily. The two girls look excited. You're in for a treat. He's an amazing chef. Xenovia shouted happily. Xenovia, you're drooling. Krolsifer pointed out. Tazuna could only laugh at them. At first it was a little tense to be around such powerful kids, but seeing them being normal eased his feelings. Naruto cooked up curry for the group and Tazuna wasn't disappointed. She was right. He's an amazing cook. Tazuna thought as he quickly ate the curry, trying to finish as fast as he can, so he can get another plate. Land of Waves. They left to meet up with Tazuna's man to get them to the country in the morning, only to be attacked by Zabuza and his backup when they reached the Land of Waves. Naruto blocked the executioner blade with his reinforced assassin bracers. Xenovia went in to fight him alone due to her wanting to fight another swordsman. Naruto would blow away all the mist that he would create. On the verge of losing to Xenovia broadsword, Zabuza's backup killed him and took him away. The reason why Xenovia wasn't using her mystic code is due to it being overpowered. Naruto tinkered with it and made it more powerful. She named her mystic code X Durandal, due to her liking the legend of Roland, but with Naruto's modification, she added the X into Durandal. She would only pull it out if she needed. Xenovia, that was unnecessary, Krolsifer said while shaking her head. Tazuna looked confused. He's our mission. We were supposed to deliver a message to him. Naruto clarify. Ops, was the only thing Xenovia could only say. She got excited when she faced Zabuza. Out of the group, she was the best sword wielder. Naruto and Krulsifer have their own sword, but in terms of skills, she was superior. Well, at least he'll come back, Naruto said. Wait, what do you mean that he will come back? Didn't that shinobi kill that guy? Tazuna asked. He saw how the hunter ninja killed Zabuza and took away his body. That is where you would be wrong. Xenovia pointed out. That hunter ninja used senbons. They can only kill if the target is a vital organ. Last I checked, shinobi didn't have any vital organs in the neck. There is also the fact the ninja took the body away instead of cutting the head off and burning the body on sight. It's standard protocol, Krulsifer added. Her time with Naruto, she learned a lot about protocols for countries in and out of the Veil. There is also the message we have to deliver to him is from the new Mizukage of Kiri. She wants him to return after he left to fund the rebels. Apparently no one told him that the civil war in Kiri is over. Naruto pointed out, while showing Tazuna the letter from Mei Terumi, the fifth Mizukage, with the seal of the Mizukage. Once he reads the letter, he will have no reason to work for Gato anymore. You'll be safe with us, Naruto reassured Tazuna. Tazuna had a speechless expression. That entire fight and the stop of the assassination attempt on him would be stopped with a single letter that was Naruto's mission to deliver. Thank you, Emiya-san. Tazuna bowed. Since he left his country, he was worried about the shinobi killing his people. With Naruto and his friends, he wouldn't need to worry about that anymore. They continue the journey to Tazuna's house where they would be staying. Tsunami, I'm home, Tazuna shouted into his house, while the others were entering the house as well. Father, you're back. Tsunami is Tazuna's daughter. She was a beautiful woman with long colored hair. She wore a short-sleeved pink shirt with the end of the sleeves and the collar being red in color. She also wore a long blue skirt. She then turned to greet the guests. You must be shinobis from Konoha, she said with a bow and a grateful smile. Naruto chuckled. Actually, we're not from Konoha. You're not? No, they're not. Tazuna went in to clarify. I went to Konoha, but they wanted more than we could afford. I left and ran into these 3 kids and hired them, he said with a big grin. Is it too dangerous to allow kids to face Gato, Dad? She asked her father with a disapproving tone. She could understand if Konoha was charging too much, but to hire a group of kids instead of shinobis is reckless. Tsunami, get this. He pointed to Naruto. He the Magus killer. I'm serious, I saw one of his girl fight and she took down one of Gato's shinobi. Tsunami was very surprised at the news. She too heard the stories of the Magus killer going around the elemental nation helping anyone that needs it. She even wished that the Magus killer would visit her country and save it from Gato, but thought that he was off saving more important people and countries. Oh my, she said while covering her mouth with her hands. She bowed to Naruto. Thank you for coming here to save us, Magus Killer-san. Emiya is just fine, Naruto said. He then went towards the door. I'm going to draw a barrier to protect you guys if anyone dangerous shows up. Krulsifer and Xenovia went in to settle down in the house and relax. They talked to Tazuna and Tsunami about the current state of waves. Naruto came back in and discussed about the time length to finish the bridge. Naruto even offered to help out along with Xenovia. Krulsifer wasn't physically fit to do hard labor without applying reinforcement on her body. The next day, Naruto took a break and went around town with Xenovia. Krulsifer decided to stay with Tsunami to keep her safe and her child, Inari. Inari was a sad boy after the loss of his stepfather. Krulsifer would try to cheer him up, but he would ignore her. A little boy came up to Naruto and Xenovia. Mister, do you have any spare food that you can give? Naruto gave it a minute to think about it. It was already lunchtime and everyone would be hungry. Especially the workers. Hey kid, do you know where is town square? Naruto asked the boy. He nodded. Take me there first, then I'll give you some food. The boy grew a very big grin. He wasn't able to get food every day, now he would be able to bring food for his mother. He led Naruto and Xenovia to town square. Emiya-sama, are you going to feed the entire town? Xenovia asked carefully, aware to keep Naruto's name hidden, especially near the land of fire. Xenovia was also asking because she was worried about not having enough food to cook later for herself. Yeah, look around. He gestured to the starving people of Waves. They need a good home-cooked meal. Once a town square where there were many people walking around, hoping to find food. Naruto pulled out his cooking equipment and set them up at the center. Zenobia was setting up the stand to give out the food to everyone. She was still forbidden to enter Naruto's kitchen, even if it is a makeshift kitchen. Their action gained the attention of everyone around. "Hey, kid, can you wait for an hour, so I can cook up something for you?" "Sure, mister, but can I get a little more? My mom is very sick and can't move anymore," the child asked. "No problem," Naruto said with a warm smile. Naruto started to cook a series of donburi, a bowl of rice containing vegetables, fish or meat, and other ingredients. During the entire show, nearly the entire town was attracted to the smell, including Tsunami and Inari with Krulsifer watching Naruto cook. The smell was amazing that many workers were drooling. "Here you go, kid." Naruto handed 2 bowls to the boy to eat and bring one for his mother. "Thank you very much, mister," he said with the biggest smile he ever had. He never smelt food like the one Naruto was cooking before and was drooling during the entire time. "Free food everyone," Zenobia shouted. "Just line up here to receive a free donburi." Everyone started to line up. The cooking alone attracted many people and they wanted to eat it. They thought that it was going to cost them, but it turns out that the child chef was kind enough to give a nice meal free of charge. At the end of the day, the entire town was much more alive. Back at Tazuna's house, Naruto was helping with dinner. After Tsunami tasted his cooking, she couldn't deny him of cooking anymore in her house. Who knew that a simple home-cooked meal was enough to turn things around? Naruto said out loud, "Everyone looks happier after eating your cooking." Tsunami added, "Thank you again for helping my town." "It's no problem. It's nice to see people smile like that," Naruto said with his own smile. "Where did you learn to cook like that?" Tsunami asked, wanting to know how a 14-year-old is capable of cooking on that level. "Mainly trial and error. My parents died when I was 7 years old," Naruto said sadly. She frowned at the news. "My condolences." "Thanks." Naruto smiled. "It's just me and my sister and our mother's side of the family. They weren't the greatest people to be with, so me and my sister would stick together. I learned how to cook for her." "That's a nice thing to do for your little sister," Tsunami commented to his story. "Little sister? No, she is my older sister by 2 or 3 years. Hard to tell when she stopped growing and stay the same size when I was 7. Naruto laughed at. Tsunami gave a little giggle as well. She tried to imagine a silver-haired 16-year-old in the body of a 9-year-old. The idea alone was funny that Naruto has a little older sister. Naruto and Tsunami went to the table to set up dinner where the entire family was waiting at with the 2 BlueNet. "Man, I hope this meal is good as the one you cooked during lunchtime," Tazuna said happily. He was digging in with his workers in Naruto's donburi during lunchtime. Everyone seemed to be enjoying Naruto's home-cooked meal, all except one. "Do you think that you guys can handle Gato and his men?" he asked, trying to start a conversation. "Of course. You saw Zenobia fighting off Zabuza. Zabuza is at most AA rank shinobi. I fought stronger," Naruto said with a big grin under his scarf. Tsunami and Tazuna were staring at him, not for his claim, but for his plate. He already ate all of his food. They literally set up the food a few seconds ago and now it's empty. Inari looked down at his plate. "Why do you even try? You're just going to die," he muttered darkly. "Inari," Tsunami scolded her son. Naruto took another look at the boy. "Why, don't you believe in us and your grandfather? He's doing all he can to free you and everyone else from him," Naruto told him. Tears started to leak out of Inari's eye. "Shut up, you don't understand what it's like to live with Gato ruling us. You're just a shinobi who live in a shinobi village where you were protected. You don't know our pain. Don't try to pretend to know my pain," Inari cried out. Naruto got up and went over to Inari. He placed his hand over his shoulder. "I know pain," Naruto said. He then lowered his scarf to show his face. Tsunami and Tazuna didn't expect him to be hiding whiskers. Tsunami found them to be a little cute. "I know how you feel." He then gave him a hug and got up and leaned against the wall. "Did you know that I was born in Konoha?" Naruto asked the family. Before they could ask anything, he continued. "Konoha, the most noblest village out of the entire elemental nations. It was said to be a place full of kind people and strong shinobi to protect you." Naruto was making it sound like Inari was right in his accusation. "But let me tell you that's bullshit. Ever since I was born, I was beaten up daily, starved and forced to eat of the trash can. I lived out on the streets since I was 3 years old. My parents abandoned me when I was born, so I spent my first 3 years in the orphanage where the caretaker would feed me scraps and encourage the other kids to beat me up. On my birthday, the entire village would get together and hunt me down. And I mean hunt like hunting down a rabid animal. Shinobi and civilians stabbed me, broke my bones, burned me, and even crucified me. I gave up hope long ago. I knew my parents willingly left me behind to suffer that fate. I never knew happiness or safety. It was on that cross is where I was saved. A man was passing by the village and saw me on that cross and cut me down. He healed all of my wounds and took me away from the God-forsaken village. He adopted me. He showed me kindness. He gave me real food. He gave me a mother and a sister, and gave me a life worth living, but most importantly, he gave me hope. That man, the man that gave me hope was Kiritsugu Emiya, my father. Naruto started to walk towards the door. I suffered so much from Konoha for 4 years of my life. My parents eventually died 3 years later. I felt pain again, pain of loneliness, but I have my sister. She was there for me and I was there for her. You have 2 people here for you. Your mother and grandfather. They're here for you. Don't lose hope. Don't give in. Naruto then covered his face again and left, leaving the entire family speechless. Krulcifer and Xenovia were staring at the door that Naruto left. They knew that he was in pain. They wanted to help him, but he wanted to be alone. Tsunami went over to calm down the crying Inari. I didn't know. Inari mentally shouted at himself. He didn't expect someone to suffer like that. Tsunami was the first to speak after hearing the boy's tale. Is it true? Did his parents really abandon him to that fate? She was tearing up too. The story was too painful for her to handle. As a mother, she can't believe that another mother would let something so horrible happen to their own flesh and blood. Krulcifer nodded her head. It's true. His parents did abandon him and they did it willingly. The worst part is that is the icing on the cake. There was far more that happened that he's hiding. His name is Naruto Emiya. I know that he didn't say it, but I hope that you guys can keep this a secret. Konoha would do anything to get their hands on Naruto-kun if they find out that he's still alive. His father made sure to fake his death when he was adopted. Tsunami and Tazuna agreed to keep his secret. Xenovia then took out an old photo that Naruto made a copy for her. As the head maid of the Emiya household, she wanted to know about all the members. She placed it on the table to show the family. She was hoping that the photo would help. This is a photo of Naruto-sama's family on his first birthday party. Inari managed to calm down and went with his mother and grandfather to look at the picture. It showed a picture of a loving family in front of a fireplace. Naruto still had blonde hair at the time, but had silver streaks. He was riding on Kiritsugu's shoulder, while Kiritsugu was falling down with his son. His mother Iris and sister Ilya were on the sofa laughing at the son and father pair laughing and falling. Naruto-sama told me that this was his happiest moment in life. His first time of being happy on his birthday instead of being afraid. The family could only look at the photo of the blonde, silver head having fun. They would have never expected that a child that happy to suffer so much. Inari was staring at the photo the longest. It reminded him of his father and all, but blood. I won't give up, he muttered while wiping away his last tear with his newfound resolution. If he can do it, then I can too. Outside, Naruto was leaving town, heading into the forest. He wanted to be alone because he was crying. Remembering the past was painful for him, but it was the only thing that he could think of to save Inari. Naruto decided to sleep outside in a tree tonight. He jumped up to a branch and started to write runes. His runes reinforced the branch and sealed away his chakra network, so he can't be detected. In the morning there was a girl out gathering herbs. Naruto saw her and knew who she was right away from her chakra signature. If he didn't, he couldn't be considered a sensor ninja. You need any help down there? Naruto shouted to the girl from the branch with a cigarette in his mouth. She jumped up from the small fright Naruto gave her. I didn't sense him. She then took another look at Naruto. He's with the group protecting our target. Naruto then came down. What are you doing here? Emiya, or if you want to call me, Magus Killer. Emiya-san, what are you doing here? The girl asked. The name didn't ring a bell, but the term, Magus Killer, sounded familiar. I was sleeping in that tree. Naruto pointed to. What are you doing, miss? Haku. My name is Haku, she told him. What are you doing here, Haku? I'm out gathering herbs. My friend is sick and needs medicine, but we don't have enough money for money. Haku half lied. Oh, I can help. I know a lot of herbs. Naruto started to play along and gather herbs for Haku. Thank you very much, Emiya-san, she said happily. A few minutes of gathering plants, she went to get information. Are you a shinobi? What makes you think so? It's just that you said that you slept in a tree and you know about medical herbs. Well, I guess that I'm that awesome. Naruto laughed. And no, I'm not a shinobi. I'm just a freelancer. People hire me to do whatever they're paying me for. Why be a freelancer, Emiya-san? Haku asked. Well, being a freelancer means that I don't have to report to anyone. Then you are a shinobi? More like an assassin. I don't really have proper shinobi training, but I'm good at killing. Naruto then put all the herbs in her basket. This should be enough to create some painkillers and accelerate the body's natural healing rate, he said with a big grin under his mask scarf. To her surprise, I didn't know that herbs can accelerate a body's healing rate. Haku asked, genuinely surprised. Most healers on practice in healing ninjutsu. They ignore many of plants that our planet gives us. There is so many different plants I use and found, and apparently there is more undiscovered. Surprising Haku even more. She even took note to that. It would help if she gathered more herbs of different kind to try to create better healing medicine. You should be getting to your friend, ma'am. Naruto got up. Haku was still on her knees looking at the herbs and saw instruction to create the medicine that he was talking about. Before you go, you should now, I'm a boy. She tried to pass off. Naruto took another look at her and tilted his head. Are you sure? You're not a trap? Naruto asked innocently, but was laughing inside his head with Kurama giving a small chuckle as well. The fox was well aware of Naruto's encounter with traps. Haku tensed up at the question. She was about to say something, but Naruto beat her to it. You know a trap, as in a boy looking like a girl or vice versa. I have a friend that is a trap or claims to be one. I still can't tell because he or she won't say anything, Naruto said as he touched his storage ring. Haku could have swore that the sapphire gave out a ray of light for a second. You're on the right path, Haku. Protecting someone precious to you will give you the strength you need. He took the words right out of her mouth. Naruto then started to walk away before she can say anything. Oh, before I forget. He then threw something at Haku, who caught it due to her reflex acting up. She immediately drew senbons, ready for a fight. She then took a look at the object she caught to see it was a letter. Give that to Zabuza. It's my mission to deliver that to him. Tell him to give me his answer on the bridge in 3 days. Later, Kunoichi-chan. Naruto then turned to Ice, surprising her greatly. Is he from the Yuki clan like me? She thought that Naruto was using Hayaten. Before she can ask him, the ice cracked and exploded into snowflakes. I had to tell Zabuza-sama about him. She then looked at the letter and saw an official seal, but didn't recognize it due to her not knowing much about important people's seals. Zabuza's hideout. Haku quickly returned to the hideout and told Zabuza everything. The Magus killer, the youngest S-rank shinobi. Zabuza shouted in pure shock. He never expected his opponent to be him. Zabuza-sama, you know this person? She asked, curious about him. Yeah, he's a kid that came from nowhere. At the age of 12, he became a S-rank shinobi. He is considered the fastest person alive when he fought against the Raikage and won. He goes all around the world and help out. He also has Mokuton and Hayaten. Zabuza gave a brief introduction of Naruto. Naruto is a popular guy and almost everyone knows about him, mainly for his ability or his good nature. Hayaten? Haku asked, wondering if he was a relative of hers. Yeah, Hayaten like you. I don't know if you two are related though. I know that it was confirmed that he used an S-rank Hayaten jutsu. Damn it, why is that guy not helping us with the bloodline purge? Zabuza shouted in frustration. He is working for Gato to fund the rebels, while this guy is here. Zabuza, there is also this letter that he gave me to give to you and told me to tell you that you should give your answer tomorrow. She handed him. Zabuza was surprised to see the Mizukage's seal on the letter. He then started to read it. Zabuza, where are you? The civil war ended a few months ago. Ever since the Magus killer and his friends joined us last year, we finally turned the tides. Yagura is dead and I became the new Mizukage. I was tired of waiting for you and Haku-chan, so I sent the Magus killer to find you. The 5th Mizukage, Maid Terumi. Get back here or I'll kill you. Zabuza was speechless. The war was over for months and he didn't know. He was working for scum like Gato this entire time for no reason. God damn it, he screamed. One day later on the almost finished bridge. Naruto, Krulcifer, Xenovia, and Tazuna were at the bridge early in the morning to hear Zabuza's answer. Zabuza and Haku finally showed up. So you use my recipe? Naruto asked Haku. She only nodded. Naruto's recipe for accelerating healing factor really worked. At first she was skeptical about the recipe Naruto left in her basket, but seeing as Zabuza trusted him due to the letter, she followed the instruction and made it. To her surprise, it worked very well. It would have took a few more days to heal Zabuza, but Naruto's medicine worked in one day. She kept the recipe to use in the future. It's nice to see you up and about, Zabuza. Sorry about last time, Naruto said as he gave a chuckle. He then turned to Xenovia, who was looking embarrassed. Someone got excited in fighting a swordsman. Brat, is it true that the war is over? Zabuza asked him directly, even though the letter was enough evidence for him. The handwriting of the letter and the last message matches May. Yeah, I fought and killed Yagura myself. Naruto bragged about it as if it wasn't a big deal. God damn it, all this time I was away from my home and the war was over. Zabuza shouted. You're just stupid, Naruto said. So, what's your answer? Become a rogue ninja where I have to beat you up and drag you to Kiri. So May can straighten you out, or will you come quietly? Naruto asked. Just take me home, brat. Zabuza said tiredly. He really didn't like the news because it cost him time. But first Tilda. He drew the executioner blade with a bloodthirsty grin. I want to see if you really are powerful. If you want to fight Emiya-sama, then you'll have to, Xenovia declared before Naruto walked forward. No problem, but let's keep this a match between swordsmen. He then reached for his ring to pull out his sword. Out came a black katana with a green edge inside a black sheath. 1. He then set it on his left side of his hip and drew his katana. Ready, Asaramaru? He asked the blade, confusing those that didn't understand. Oh, you're bringing me out. It's been a long time, Naruto. Asaramaru spoke. What the fuck? Was the response from Zabuza, Haku, and Tazuna. Hey Kunoichi-chan, you better go stand by my friends. This is about to get intense. Naruto said with his own bloodthirsty grin. She looked towards Zabuza for orders and he nodded his head to tell her to go be with them. I may not be a great swordsman, but I can overwhelm you, Zabuza. He then cut his hand and allowed blood to flow down the blade. Suck my blood, Asaramaru. Zabuza had a bad feeling about this fight and that blade. It was then a pure evil aura erupted around Naruto. Black miasma erupted around Naruto. It could only be described in one word, demonic. Asura cannon. Many blades form in the shape of a fan behind Naruto and he then charged at Zabuza. He finally got over the shock and used the size of his blade to block the incoming attacks. What the hell? Tazuna shouted in fear of the presence. Haku was shivering in fear as well. It was then that Krulcifer activated a ward to protect them from Asaramaru's aura. Tazuna finally calmed down. What the hell is that? He frantically pointed to Naruto. That's a demon, Tazuna-san. Krulcifer answered. Demon? Haku and Tazuna asked in fear. Yes, a demon. Before you judge, listen to Xenovia first. Krulcifer told them. Xenovia then went to tell the story, but leave out some key details about the world. Flashback. Germany. By this time, Naruto was well known to the Twilight World and Elemental Nation. He made many enemies because of his father, but also made many friends. Asaramaru. Naruto screamed out. He was in panic for his friend. Asaramaru is one of the dead apostle ancestor that only feed on humanity for blood. Besides that, it won't do much against humanity. You know what, I'm going to call Asaramaru she because of her appearance. She heard news of Naruto and decided to pay a little visit a while back. At first, it was just a vampire bothering Naruto, but Asaramaru eventually got to him and they became friends. She decided to have a secret house in Germany to hang out with Naruto. In her opinion, Naruto was fun to be with and is very interesting. Plus his blood was divine. I mean literally, he is a demigod. She enjoyed all the blood pack that Naruto offers her. Naruto even took it to another level by using his blood in cooking for Asaramaru only, which she enjoyed. They often banter about Asaramaru's gender, but she will always act like a girl one day with her appearance, then boy next day with her voice and change of personality. It was confusing because her body suggests female, but at the same time doesn't. Her personality is the same, so Naruto made it his mission to discover the truth without flipping her skirt. Currently, Asurumaru was being possessed by a demon. This never happened before. A demon possessing an ancestor and not a human. Naruto held her in his hands while she fought against the demon trying to take over her body. Kurama, can you help her? Naruto asked his fox god. I can't do anything. If I try, I can kill her. Her body is transforming into a demon right now. If I use my power, then she will be destroyed. Kurama told Naruto. Much to his frustration. Naru, she whispered while fighting the demon. There is one way to save me. Imprison me into something that Kurama purify. But that will kill you. It's the only chance we have. Naruto looked at her, seeing her in pain. He then ran out to grab the Kusanagi that he claimed from Orochimaru. He and Asurumaru were modifying it to meet Naruto's standard. With Asurumaru's help, they broke the unbreakable blade and redesigned it to a black katana with green edge. Naruto wanted blue, but Asurumaru wanted green and Naruto lost the arm wrestling match. Naruto came back, while applying some special runes on the katana. It was then that Asurumaru entered the blade to save herself. Entering the blade sort of work. The possession work, but didn't at the same time. Asurumaru turned into a demon, but she was still in control of her body. Since then, she wanted to stay with Naruto. Being in the front seat to everything and get to drink his blood anytime she wants was too good to leave. There was also the fact that she was a demon and the demon that tried to possess her is dormant inside her. The katana was keeping the demon at bay, so she had to deal with living inside of the sword. It wasn't all bad, she had a straight connection to Kurama and had Naruto at all times. Overall, it was enjoyable. Good food and good entertainment. Nothing really changed for her. End of flashback. Wow, so it was Naruto's friend that was possessed by a demon, so to save her, he put her in that blade. Tazuna asked. Yeah, she doesn't mind much. She is still the same as Asurumaru, but with demonic powers. Demons are evil, that's fact, but this is a special case. Zenobia said with her own experience from being a former executioner. It's the reason why there is such an evil presence now, but the person in charge of that power isn't evil. She couldn't say good either because she is a dead apostate ancestor. During the tale, Naruto and Zabuza fought. Solely using Kenjutsu, Naruto overwhelmed Zabuza with the many blades, but eventually got the better of him. It ended with Zabuza as the winner. I'll give it to you. You got power, brat. Zabuza said with a big smirk. Fighting off so many swords was difficult, but Naruto had no technique in it. Yeah, I need to work on my swordsmanship. Naruto sheathed Asurumaru. Wait, let me stay outside from now on, Naru. Asurumaru requested. He usually keep her in his storage ring, but she seems to want to be out now. Sure, no problem. Naruto left her in his left hip. Zabuza, you traitor. A short man shouted from the other side of the bridge with an army of bandits. Gato. Tazuna and Zabuza said in unison with great disdain for the short man. He's Gato? Naruto began to laugh. You were terrorized by a midget. Ha 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 ha. Gato gritted his teeth. You damn brat. Just hand over the bridge builder or I will send my army to kill everyone in town. Sorry, that isn't going to happen. Naruto stood up strong with Zenobia and Krulcifer with him. Naruto then stroked Asurumaru, sending out a small taste of her power. Frightening Gato and his men. Give up the builder or his daughter pays. Gato threatened, while trembling from the power. Gato, you bastard. Tazuna started to walk up to surrender himself to save his daughter. It was then Naruto stops him. Tazuna, don't worry, but he has tsunami. Well, flashback. Before they left to the bridge, Naruto went out of the house first. He went through a series of hand seals. Summoning Jutsu Kitsune, Naruto slammed his hand into the ground. A puff of smoke came out of his hand, along with a dog-sized white kitsune with two tails. Naruto-sama, how can I help you? She asked happily. Yuki, I need you to watch over the woman and boy inside this house. Protect them. Hi Naruto-sama. She then went to look for a good hiding place. Yuki is Naruto's personal fox summon. She is a snow-white fox and daughter of the boss Kitsune. When Naruto summoned her for the first time, she was excited. She enjoyed her time serving Naruto as a fighter and friend. She was the one that befriended Ilya because she was the one to deliver letters to each other. Most of the time, she would spend time with Ilya and the world outside the veil. She was one of the very few to see the rest of the world. End of flashback. Really? Tazuna asked desperately. Trust Yuki. She can fight Chunin-level shinobi. A couple of bandits are nothing to a shinobi. Naruto replied, relieving the old man. He then turned to Gato and his army. Now let's deal with you. What are you going to do, brat? You can't. Bang. Naruto fired his Thompson contender at Gato and killed him. The sound surprised everyone but the girls. Tazuna was still new to guns and the others were wondering about that weapon. What the hell was that? Hey guys, Gato is dead. What? The thugs began to shout about Gato's death. You bastard. If you took away our meal ticket, we're going to take everything away from you. Starting with those two girls. The newly elected leader declared. He and the rest started to charge. Like hell you are. Naruto muttered darkly. He then drew his 2FN57 and began to fire at the crowd. Damn it. Trace on, Naruto said. He ran through both clips and used tracing to reload his guns. He continued to fire as his friends and allies watched in amazement. They were mainly curious about his weapons. Enough, Zenobia shouted. She reached into the hair with the hand that had her storage ring and chanted in English. No one, but Naruto and Krulcifer understood her. Petra, Basilius, Dionysus, and Mary, the Holy Mother. Hear my voice. It was then a golden circle appeared at her fingertips and a large blue sword came out wrapped in chains. She reached for it and pulled it out. The holy sword, Ex Durandal. She showed her sword in all its glory. What is that? Zabuza asked as he whistled at the impressive sword. It's Ex Durandal, a special sword that Naruto-kun helped make. Krulcifer answered. Haku took notice to the name and figured it to be the true name of the Magus killer. After with heavy modification, it's able to split anything in the world and we traveled a lot. So far, the names as the peerless sword stays true to its reputation. That surprised Zabuza. To hear that such a powerful sword exists. Zenobia then swung the sword and killed the rest of the bandits, but also destroyed part of the bridge. My bridge. That was a little overkill, Zenobia. Naruto said as he went over to give her a kiss. But thanks. Ah man, a little kid whine. Everyone turned around to see Inari with the rest of the town armed. You're late, but we killed Gato. Naruto shouted to them. Everyone cheered. Their nightmare is finally over. Inari was crying tears of joy as he ran up to Naruto to give him a hug. A few days later, Naruto told Zabuza that they would go back to Kiri after finishing the bridge. Naruto and Zenobia worked hard on rebuilding the part that she broke and the rest of the bridge. Naruto had gained enough experience where he would start using time altered to speed up the process. They finished the bridge in 5 days with Naruto's help. At the finished bridge, Naruto, Zenobia, and Krulcifer were saying goodbye to the people of Waves. Will we see you again, Naruto ni? Inari asked tearfully. He grew close to Naruto during the 3 days. He worked along with Naruto and spent time with him. Naruto messed up Inari's hair as he rubbed it. Of course, Squirt. If you want to find me, just send a letter to the Land of Spring. See ya everyone. Naruto waved goodbye. It was nice spending time with you, Tsunami-san. Krulcifer said her goodbye. Then the group went down to the ship waiting to take them back to Kiri. What should we call the bridge? Tsunami asked her father. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? Inari recommended. Many people liked the name considering it was the name of their hero. Apparently his name in Waves became the worst kept secret, but it didn't matter much at this point. Haha, that's a great name. Tazuna then walked up to the front of the bridge. The Great Naruto Bridge. Then everyone cheered. 1 week later, we find a group of shinobi walking to the coast in the Land of Fire. The group consists of a black-haired boy, pink-haired girl, a red-haired girl and a silver-haired man. These 3 people had the Konoha headband on them. The black-haired boy is Sasuke Uchiha, son of Fugaku Uchiha of the famous Uchiha clan. Next was Sakura Haruno, a civilian girl being a shinobi. The last child is Mito Namikaze and she is the daughter of the 4th Hokage and she looks like her mother. Their sensei, Kakashi Hitaki and teacher of Team 7. Team 7 was sent to the Land of Waves after abandoning the mission in the first place. Sai Sensei. Kakashi said quietly as he remembered what happened. Flashback. Konoha, one of the great shinobi village. Home to many of powerful shinobi. The village was doing fine from the outside, but in the inside is another story. Ever since the death of their Jinchuriki, Naruto Uzumaki, the village went down a darker path. Danzo Shimura, one of the elders of Konoha, began to take drastic measures. Danzo wouldn't allow Konoha be weak, so he slowly began to kidnap children from family, orphanage, even clans. He managed to get away with it due to the third Hokage having no proof. Danzo indoctrinated these kids into his root program. The only one trying to solve the mysterious disappearance were the Uchiha police force. Considering that the Hokage isn't helping the children, Fugaku, captain of the police force, gained a lot of influence, much to Danzo's anger. 1 month after the death of Naruto Uzumaki, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Namikaze showed up to Konoha with their daughter. There were mixed emotions about their arrival. Some say that the demon brat's death resurrected them. That was how they learn about Naruto Uzumaki's fate. Much to their anger, the civilian welcomed them back, but most shinobi clan heads and shinobis were angry with him. He abandoned not only his son, but Konoha as well. It showed that Minato couldn't be trusted when it came to Konoha, so the results were Minato became a figurehead. The civilians wanted Minato back and the village needed a strong presence to ward off war, so he was left as the fourth Hokage, but had very little power. Fugaku mainly led the shinobi force, and many clan heads and other shinobis wouldn't listen to Minato anymore and only listened to Fugaku. Fugaku's newfound reputation and influence made the Uchiha more respected. The Uchiha clan became the symbol of Konoha, but there was one that disapproved. Danzo didn't like it because he didn't trust the Uchiha clan at all. He then launched a coup d'état to take control of Konoha and massacre the Uchiha clan. Of course, the coup d'état failed, but it managed to kill half of the Uchiha clan. Danzo ran away after the failed coup and Fugaku became a hero for stopping the civil war that Danzo almost caused. Danzo was marked as AS rank shinobi with a kill on sight. He had too much information and had no problem kidnapping children anywhere. Many countries watch their border to Konoha because Danzo stationed his new root base in the Land of Fire. Kushina wasn't doing well. After hearing that her home killed her son hit her hard. To hear that it was her fault that Naruto was beaten, abused, slept on the streets, and much more sent her into a depression. She would have stayed like that if she wasn't pregnant at the time with another daughter. She vowed to protect this child when she failed Naruto. The Namikaze new daughter is Natsumi Namikaze. Mito was devastated to hear that her twin was killed. She trained to get stronger, so she can fight for him and her. She still believed that Naruto wanted to protect Konoha. Even though she would never be powerful like a cage, she would keep on training. The village really didn't care about Naruto being the son of their hero. They would bad-mouth him at any chance they got and ended up getting sent to the hospital by Kushina. Mito and Minato had too much love for Konoha to hurt the civilians. After Team 7 returned with Mito poisoned by the Demon Brothers. Minato may have been a figurehead, but he had some power. He rejected Tezuna's proposal for high-rank mission. He was aiming for a trading contract that Konoha get exclusive access. However, Tezuna left, so they waited for him to come back. Sensei, why is my team going to the Land of Waves? I thought you rejected Tezuna. Kakashi asked. I was hoping that Tezuna would come back to get our help. It seems like I was wrong. Your mission is to go to Waves and to protect him, while he builds the bridge. Then you will get him to sign a contract in giving us 50% off on products and an exclusive trading contract with only Konoha. Minato told Kakashi. So we're replacing one tyrant with another one? Kakashi asked, not believing that his sensei has fallen this low. You will do what your Hokage commands of you. Minato said with authority. End of flashback. Things have changed. Kakashi said as he remembers about the time before Kyuubi's attack. He was one of the people that have their opinion of Minato going down. He is still holding on to the good man he once was, but it's sinking. The duty of Hokage and his love for Konoha is destroying the man. He understood that Konoha will need all the power they can get due to the loss of their Jinchuriki. Minato made up a lie saying that Naruto wasn't the true Jinchuriki and Mito was the real one. People loved Mito, but still hated Naruto. It was easier for them that way. He then walked up to the ferry driver while the kids stayed behind. Sir, can you take us to the Land of Waves? The man gave him a Are you stupid? Look. I can, but why? We need a way to get to the island. Kakashi answered him as if that was a stupid question. Why don't you take the bridge? He pointed the bridge. Kakashi was greatly surprised. There goes the mission, but I still had to ask about the deal. He then went back to his team and lead them to the bridge. Kakashi was against the plan to use the Land of Waves. His moral didn't change much after Minato's return, but he still followed orders. The Great Naruto Bridge? Kakashi read sadly. He missed Naruto greatly. He was one of the few to care for him, but was never able to get a smile from him. Mito looked sad as well. Ni-san, she muttered out. I guess people like the name, Naruto. It was still believed that Naruto died considering that they have a body at his grave. Well, the body was more of a mess-up body that Kuritsugu got from a nearby Konoha civilian boy that was dared to see the demon boy's body. Kuritsugu had no problem harming innocent children considering that Konoha has killed a child, so why not have a child die that day? A story was told that the boy that went out was dragged to hell by the demon brat spirit. They then went out to look for Tazuna, only to find the entire town still celebrating. They finally found Tazuna. Tazuna-san, Kakashi said to get his attention. You, Tazuna said darkly. He hated Konoha for abandoning him, trying to rip him off, and for what they did to Naruto. What are you doing here? I'm here to protect you, while you build the bridge. Kakashi said while trying to see if he can get this done for Konoha. It's already done. He then started to walk away. Wait, can we work out a trading contract? Like hell we can. We finally got rid of the tyrant, Gato. I don't plan on having another. We gave in once and paid the price. We won't bow again. Wait, can you at least tell us why you named the bridge Naruto? Mito asked. She wanted to know, seeing as this is the only way to get close to her dead brother. It's one of the name of the man that saved our country. Trying to hide Naruto name. By saying this, it suggested that this man has many names to go by. Who? Kakashi asked. The Magus Killer. Now leave our country. He then left. The Magus Killer. All of Team 7 shouted.